that? Putting stuff together today. I should say like no book, but little book. Happy Saturday. It's been a while. I hope you're well. I'm just trying to remember things from the book. Like the 3-stroke rough that I just like, again, it's like if I look at it and we're working on exercises, I'm like, oh, I know how to play that. But it's like, if I don't have the book there, you know, West Coast early. Dude, I woke up early. I dropped my truck off to get brakes. Stupid cars. New rotors and new pads. Sucks. Got there at 7:30 and dropped it off. Yay. Anna, hello. Yeah, it's one of those days of just like, ugh. And it's like below zero here, which is I love it. So, but no one else seems to like it. I don't know why. It's amazing. There is no mosquitoes outside. Love this. Oh my gosh. Okay. Anna, it's good to see you. Yeah, I dropped my truck off to get new brakes this morning. So other than that, nothing's really up. It's a chill day here. But okay. So I'm trying to think of like all these little role ideas that we've been doing and how to put them as fills in my vocabulary, right? Like taking all these different ideas, but then saying like, okay, like, well, what would sound good to me with these? Or when would I use them? When do I hear them? All that kind of stuff. Extra dry mile. Oh, dude, what's up? Basic. Hi. Yeah. Let's see. Byzance. Extra dark. Or I don't know if it's extra dark, but it's a Big Apple Dark. 24-inch. Here, check it out. It sounds so good, dude. I like it with the sizzle. that sizzle, 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 sizzle. It's a big symbol. Face it. I got it at the Drum Center of Portsmouth. I just happened to be going through there, and I'm like, I'll just go in and check it out. And they have like a massive cymbal section, right? Like all these different brands, and they've got pretty much everything there. And they've got a used cymbal section, which normally I'm like, no, I'm good. Unless it's like some crazy old thing. I don't want like a 90s dirty old beat up like Z Custom. And since this thing is so big, they have them like on the floor in like a cymbal stack thing. And I saw this thing sticking up. I'm like, that looks like a Meinl. What is that? And I go over and I was like, wow, this is like brand new. And I talked to the guy there. He's like, yeah, some guy brought this in, traded it for a bunch of stuff. It's basically brand new. So I got it for a great deal. It's in great condition, but it's a big cymbal. 24-inch. So, but the thing when cymbals get this big, I like them to be stable. I don't want them like too thin and just like wobbling all over. This feels very nice for like the jazz stuff. I think it would just get annihilated if you really start reaming on it for like rock or anything like that. I don't think it could hang. I think it would just like disintegrate. But it's pretty nice. It would go good with like I don't even know. Yeah, it's definitely dry and dark, but it has like some sustain to it. It's not dead, It's just not like in your face. It's very blend. It's got a very nice blend to it. Woo! Woo! Coffee's good. Oh. Took your practice pad. Let's go. So what I was just on, a 3-stroke rough, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, ta ta, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, right? So if you take like 4, like the last note of the triplet, or the last triplet at 4, 4 ta ta, 1, 2, 3, 4 ta ta 1, right? On that last ta, it's like a little 16th note thing there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. That leads well with the right hand, right? Because you're gonna go right, left to 1, right? So that makes sense. But I'm trying to think of this as both hands. Like, okay, if I'm gonna lead with a right hand, what's gonna work? Vice versa, if I lead with a left hand, what's gonna work? So if I did it with left hand, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. The left hand's gonna land on 1, which I need to be back here. So if I start on the second note of the triplet, 1, 2, 3, 4 ta ta 1, right? Or I'm sorry, 4 ta ta. I'm on that last note of the triplet. So shifting it over a little bit creates a new thing and frees me up with my left hand. So alternating between those two, the right and the left, that's what I'm doing right now, just to hear it, feel it. Get the phrasing in my head, if I have to match a figure or something like that. get rid of the feet. I want to see them. I want to see the feets, right? Yeah, I like that. Taking an idea and experimenting with it, right? So if we do 4 ta ta or 4 ta ta, right, with left hand. Carver, what's up? Ayo. So if we do 4 ta ta, right, but do the last one on the hi hat. 4 ta ta. Check it out. It's kind of cool. Tips, hold on. I want to hear that. I thought I opened up. Oh, Tips. It's the morning. Hi. Hold on. Scammed is right. Oh my goodness. Do you even stream, bro? Do you even stream? Tips, hi. Are you warm? I know Texas got hit with all that ice stuff and the cold again. It's like below 0 here. Well, I gotta play it again. Boom!
Are you ready for it?
All I hear when I hear this now is the Mongolian throat singers. Dust, what's up, dude? I hope you're getting sleep, man. It's good to see you. Watch, I'll play it again. Think of the Mongolian throat singers though. Ready?
Are you ready for it?
That's all I hear when I hear 808 now. I'm like, whatever. It's throat singing, right? Carver, you know. Went without power for 32 hours. Oh man. Is your heat electric or anything like that? Third is city without power for multiple days. Help us well up north. We need some lessons. Dude, it's crazy. Like, I don't know. Like, what was it last year? The crazy, all the cold, like the grid went down in Texas. I don't know what's going on. Should be our next area to should be your next area to master jazz and throw singing. Oh, yeah, the who, dude, or the however you call them. They're all like, oh, I showed the boys it, and they were like, they loved it. It's pretty cool. I was gonna do the alerts manually. It took longer. Are you ready for it? Does anyone know anyone that can throat sing? I've met one person. They were at CalArts, and when I was in college, I didn't go to CalArts, but I took 2 courses there, and I know a bunch of my friends went there, so I had a bunch of CalArts folks are very artsy. I hope it's in the name. And there was a girl vocal major there that could do throat singing, but like it wasn't like it was like it was weird. I don't know, but it was considered throat singing. I didn't like it, but I went to a recital, or like not a senior recital, but like a showcase or something, and I was like, what the heck? There was some weird stuff I witnessed at CalArts. Straight up. They had the I don't even know if they still do it. I doubt they do it. CalArts used to have this like naked weekend or something where like everyone's naked playing music. It was freaking weird, man. I don't know. I'm just saying they might not still do it, but I remember this is like in the early 2000s, and I was like, what is happening here? It's a weird place. Very creative though, I'll put it that way. That's a three beers in band. Yes, dude. If you read the subtitles, they're like, I'll become a tiger and get you, and you're like, what? Okay. It's cool though. They ain't messing around. But Cal, I hope you had a good morning. And Tips, thank you again. Yeah, we're below zero here. I saw Mount Washington up in New Hampshire hit negative 110 wind chill factor last night. It's a new world record. The coldest I've ever been in is negative 90, and that was at Killington Peak, or 90 below wind chill factor. So it's not 90 below temperature, but it was very cold. I think you could get onset frostbite within 10 seconds if you had exposed skin, and that's really cold. But negative 110 wind chill, that's like Antarctica crazy cold, you know? It's called Black Jazz. You can check out the song Madness and Damage Done from a band called Shining. I'll definitely check it out. They have that in there. Horn sections, throat singing, jazz drums, and black metal. That's like the gumbo of music. I love that. Random question. Any drum case recommendations that won't bankrupt me but also aren't just dust covers? Carver, what do you need them for? Do you need hard or soft? Like, are you just storing them, or are you going to be on a tour, or just like local gigs that you're not too worried about them? Yeah, Cal, it's crazy. Just tell me the temperature. Well, the wind makes a big difference. Big difference, especially when you're up that high and there's like no air and it's cold. But honestly, I've all my cases that I use I've had forever. I think they're SKB cases. Carver, I don't even know if SKB is still around. But any hard shell case with padding inside if you're going to be on tour. You want some like a guitar case, like that fabric padding in the middle of it, in between the hard shell and that. Something with a good click strap on top so it doesn't get banged around, and a handle. But stuff that doesn't break the bank. What's that new? There's a new company, not new, but Humsenberg, I think. Humsenberg. Like Humes, Hums, and Berg. I know a bunch of my friends recently signed deals with them or whatever for tours. Humsenberg? Humsenberg? I don't know how to say it. I would check out them. I've heard some really good things about them. I saw their thing at the Music City Drum Show. I didn't go over and look at them because I don't really need cases, but I used I still have my big road case, on wheels, the big flight case for my drums, which is nuts. Currently, that flight case is just taking up so much space in my basement, but that's for wheeling onto a trailer. I would suggest checking out SKB or Humsenberg. Spent 20 years buying the fun stuff, but not the important stuff. Cases are important. If you start gigging and you got a really nice drum set, or you have to transport it to rehearsals or something, you don't want to just wrap it in a blanket in the back seat and have hardware banging into it. That's one thing I would check out, Carver, is hard shell cases, but also a hardware bag for your case or cymbal stands and hi-hat stuff, because that just makes transporting stuff so easy. You just put it in a bag or get 2 bags instead of trying to carry cymbal stands and they're all pinching your fingers before a gig. You're oh, frick it. The hi-hat's jabbing you and banging into your kick drum in the vehicle. So sounds German, so it must be good. Humsenberg. It's 3 words, Hums, Husenberg or something. I don't know. Boom, 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 boom. I never thought of putting all the stands into a bag. You can get those? Yeah, Simon, hello. Yeah, I've got a couple of them. They just type in drum hardware bags, and I don't know. You could probably use any sports, the big ball bags where you can carry 10 soccer balls or whatever. Anything just to it just makes it so much easier when you're going into a gig. I used to do, I went to a shipping store or a warehouse store. In LA, they were all over because there's warehouses all over. But I bought a pretty beefy cart that folded up, not a little little one. I'm talking a big tires to go over curbs and stuff. It was a pretty hardcore cart, but I could load up my drums, stack them up, and I had a bungee that would the pull cart thing, so it would go around that, and I could put the 2. I used to have 2 stand bags, and then I used to go kick drum, cymbal case, and then stacked all the toms and snare, and 2 hardware bags straight up, and I'd bungee it. And I just wheel it around. My seat would fit in between the bags, so, and I think my kick pedal, I think I put that in the hardware bag if I'm not mistaken, but I could do it in one trip. So I used to get in and out of studios just boom, instead of being 10 trips later. God, that sucks. It sucks. And I wasn't using a big kit, at the time, but every day I was living in an apartment. So we had an elevator, and I just leave it in the cart, and then ride down. Every day I'd pack up the car. I'd drive to the rehearsal space. I'd have to wheel my drum set in, set up. I practice for 2 hours, tear it down, put it in the car, go to rehearsal or go to the studio. This is before we had the the studio in LA. So yeah, that cart, I still have it, and it's a great little investment to have. But yeah, you spend all this money on this nice gear, drums and cymbals and stuff. It's like you should probably look at cases, right? Just so they stay nice. The other thing is temperature, heat. You don't want them exposed to sunlight and stuff like that, so you don't get fading and all kinds of stuff. A baseball gear bag would work for drum hardware there. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah, like that's what I mean, like those sports bags. Sports. But yeah, they probably got like if they're holding bats, they're probably pretty padded. That's what you want, because you don't want the cymbal, all these little like things sticking out, the cymbal toppers. You don't want them like poking into the fabric and ripping it. So anything with some beef to it. But then again, if you got a lot of cymbal stands, that's what I said, you might want 2 bags, because just because they'll all fit in one bag doesn't mean you're going to want to carry that or lift that into your car, because these things add up, all the little stands and whatnots. Good question though. Yeah, I'd check out the Humes. Here, let's settle it. I'll look it up real quick. Dun 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 dun. Humsenberg. Humes. It's not. Hugh Jackman. It's not it. I'll just Google Husenberg. Hugh Holmes and Berg. Let's try that. Drum cases. Let's see if anything pops up. All right. Yeah. Humes and Berg. Maybe. Yeah. Humes. And Berg. Humes and Berg. For good things. Are they on Sweetwater? Hold on. I'm just curious of the price. So, a big hard shell foam lined. That's what you want if you're gonna really get hard cases. So a 6.5 by 14 snare case is $131. So you're gonna be spending some money, but it looks like a 3-piece soft shell is like $164 or $225 for a lot of them. Padded hard case. So a pack of 18 by 22, 16 by 16, 9 by 12, and an 8 by 10 is like $663 for a shell pack or like a case pack. But they got all kinds of different options, it looks like. So, great quality. Yeah. I would say they're probably the new hotness when it comes to cases. A lot of my buddies are, dealing with them for tour deals and stuff. But yeah, let me know if you get anything. I'm curious. I don't really need hard shell cases, but I have hard shell SKBs, and that's what Mike from Monuments used when he used my kit for tour. But you don't need a big like wheel cart. Those are just so awkward. I like that I have it, but I also regret having it at the same time. Those big flight cases, the doors of it come off and become a table that clips onto the side of it. So you can have all the drums in like a shelf, and then you can take them out and put them on a table to like tune them and work. It's cool. It's handy. But you know what? On tour, who always used it? Freaking guitar player. They'd be like, yeah, set up your table. And they put all their cases on and and change their strings on it. And I'm like, what? How? So I'm up there on the top of the case, like I can't even see. On like reverb due to less touring scope. That's a good thought, Cal. Yeah, I check out reverb.com. Sweetwater has a used section now. I don't know if anything's on it, but another thing, check out like places like Pocket Percussion or like your local drum shop that deal with a lot of used drum things. They're on Reverb as well. They've got a lot of cases just because people come in and they want to trade things to get something. A lot of times you'll see like hardware and drum cases like for pretty cheap just because they wanted to get like a new snare or something. So yeah, check it out. Reverb. I gotta stop going on there. Does anyone have like a wish list on YouTube? Or not YouTube. Reverb. I got rid of some things on mine, but I added some things too. Those baseball. Oh, they really have. Really? It's probably the same thing, Simon, right? It's probably the same thing. And to be honest, you don't want to go too expensive with that stuff because, I mean, you're going to be putting them in and out of the car. They're going to be on like gross floors of venues or the ground. If you're doing outside stuff, they're going to get dirty. They're going to get just destroyed. So, you know, don't go too crazy. Hard shell cases are probably a good investment. But when it comes to the hardware, it's more for just like ease of carrying stuff around. But yeah, I like this little thing today we're doing. It's nothing crazy, but it's just like a fill that you could probably use all over the place when you're playing jazz or even not jazz if you're in a triplet subdivision. It's kind of the equivalent of like 1 and 2 and 3 and you know, it's like that kind of fill. But in jazz, right? It's kind of cool. That's what I mean. I'm finding favorites today of things that I really like, and I'm writing stuff on paper, like making a list of like things that I like based off of what we've been working on. And hopefully we can compile a cool list of, you know, just moving through the list. But if anyone's practicing or wants to try this, has questions, let me know. So we're starting with the 3-stroke roughs of like, okay, this is what we've been learning. What do I like? What do I don't like? What feels like me? What doesn't feel like me? Just kind of like we've gone through all these exercises. Now it's time to go like, what's, you know, what sticks and what doesn't, you know? I don't know why that just popped in my head. Wait, one last thing. Cal, I was playing Iron Banner. What is my light now? I think I'm a bike 1500. I was playing last night. It's been a busy week. I went to the dentist. I have to get 2 crowns. Boo! Sucks. I don't like, it's not like an emergency. They said my teeth look great, but I've got some cracked like molars from stress and drumming and all that. Sleep, I don't know, sleep chewing. But I am at 1504. Yeah, 1504. The kids were there too. Yeah, we were playing last night. Then you can publish the official Big Book Jazz of Phil's. Mel Bay, Hal Leonard. Blackberry, good morning. Incubus, hello. Like old school blues vibe. Yeah. Trying. Power level disabled everybody. Yeah, it's cool. It's cool. Thank God. I was wondering that from Australia. Oh, let's go. How's Australia today? It's currently below 0 here in Pennsylvania. I think it was 7 below this morning, and then the wind chill was like 15 below or something crazy. I dropped the truck off to get new brakes today. Yay. Yay, that's fun. I took it in to get inspected on, what day was it? Thursday or Friday. And they were like, yeah, you need new brakes. I was like, darn it. But the truck, I got it in 2018, brand new. It's 70,000 miles. But that car, I drove that across the country when we moved here, all over like Tennessee, Carolinas, Florida. I'm trying to think, New Hampshire, all the places we've been with it. So I'm like, yeah, I probably need new brakes. That's probably a good idea. Warm and nice. Right on. Well, it's good to see you. But yeah, so I'm playing, essentially, if you guys just popped in, I'm just going to run through it a couple times, moving around the kit. So we're doing, I hear my kids above me. They were doing Valentine's Day cards for their classrooms today. And do you guys remember doing that as a kid? I hated that. They had this list of all the kids in their class, and they're like, ah! And I was like, ha ha ha. Sucks. But, yeah, gotta do it. They have like little baby Yoda Mandalorian Valentines. So they're all about it. Everyone in Texas is doing okay. Power back on. Yeah, that's what Tips was saying. Yeah. It's crazy. That ice. You know what's crazy? I was texting with Muscle, Cal. We watched it's like Texas got like half an inch, some more of ice on the roads, like just ice. And there's people driving on it, and you see them like just. I'm like, why? What are they doing? And we watched the news, like a clip on YouTube, and it's like people trying to get out of like being stuck, and they got like trucks and stuff, but they're only 2-wheel drive trucks. And I saw someone with like a Camaro with rear wheel drive, like, woo. I'm like, you're not going anywhere in those cars on ice, you idiots. Don't drive on ice. You don't mess with ice. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't, just stay home. You're not gonna get there. No matter how good of a driver you think you are, or whatever tires you have, it's ice. It doesn't matter. You literally have no traction. So, yeah. Incubus, just watch the news of like drivers driving on ice. It's crazy. Like, people are like, I'll get there. Don't worry. Me and my truck. And it's like, they're just like sliding just right off the road. So it's like, just stay home. Whatever you think is worth it, it's not. Unless you're like, it's a medical emergency. But let them come to you so you're not clogging up the roads with your stupid driving. You know? Not for driving. That's right. It's for drinking. Finger, good morning. How are you? How's your warm? Are you warm or cold? If you studded tires and know what you're doing. Yeah, that is true. That is true. But it's like, it's like, ice is no joke. I just like, nope, not worth it. Being a tired stud is good. That was really funny. I like that. Chains, yeah. Oh man. Would you prefer studded tires or chains? I think I'd prefer studded tires. Chains are, if you've got a heavy vehicle, chains can help. But if that ice is, if it's really cold and like really slippery, like if there's no snow and it's pure ice, I don't know if chains would do a lot, because you need to like dig into that ice. I don't know. Scary stuff. Yeah. That's what I mean. Like what Texas went through with the ice. And Texas got like a bunch of storms like in a couple days time. It wasn't just like one thing. It was just like ice after ice after ice. Like that's a whole nother level. Like power lines, trees. Like I don't know how much ice it takes for everything to really start weighing down, but it's really dangerous. Snow sucks, but at least it's like manageable. You can't go out and like shovel ice. You can't, like you can't go out and just be like, I'm gonna go clear the driveway. You'd be out there with like a pickaxe like all day. So yeah, just below freezing. Nice. Yeah, we're around the 0 mark today, but it's gonna go back up to like 40 tomorrow or something. It's like winter is so drunk right now where I live. It doesn't know what to do. One day it's like 50. We had daffodils coming up. I don't know if I told you guys that, but my wife, she does like this composting thing, and I put a bunch of leaves like just in a thing for her to like add to her compost bucket or whatever. And she was getting some leaves and she noticed the daffodils are coming up, and it's like, it's February. It's been so warm here. The ground hasn't really frozen. It is now, probably like maybe a little bit, but yeah. Scotty, what's up? Yeah, we gotta play. But isn't that wild? Like it's February and the daffodils are trying to come up. Like they're like that high up. They're probably getting wrecked right now with this cold. Prefer chains, makes you go slower. Yeah. Also known as Dan Long-Term Story. Yeah. I told you one of the holes the boys dug in the woods is now a composting bucket. Or a composting storage area. It's kind of hilarious. But I'll show you. Let's go over what I'm going to work on. Just a 3-stroke rough idea. So it's basically 1, 2, 3, 4. If I'm going to do right hand lead, I'm going to hit the last note of the triplet of 4. Right? Okay. If I'm going to do left hand lead, 1, 2, 3. Oh, I love that so much. Listen. On that, I might do like some 4s in a row, and then, or on the last note of the triplet, then the right hand lead, and then the left hand lead one, and then vice versa back. So we'll take a little minute, work on some of this stuff orchestrated around the kit, just trying different ideas, see what sticks today, picking favorites. Yeah, Incubus, let's go. Little 4 on the floor. That's one thing I've recently just kind of got, I don't want to say good at, but like barely a feel of, is playing, like actually feathering that kick. Meaning like barely like actually just feathering it while playing hard stuff and not being like, oh, I'm feathering the bass drum. There we go. I'm talking like, whoa, it's hard. It's very hard. That's hard to do consecutive left hand lead ones. So like 1 ta ta 2 ta ta 3 ta. Let's try it. Yeah, Scotty. Scotty's on YouTube. Everyone on Twitch, say hi to Scotty on YouTube. And Scotty, say hi to everyone on Twitch. We're working out of this book, Joe Piccaro's Drum Set Method. There's like the whole crazy section on 3-stroke roughs. But yeah, just taking like those exercises. But I'm not looking at the book today. Just trying to find things that I really like about it and orchestrations that fit my playing personality instead of just being like exercise 11-8. You know, it's like, all right, here's the concept, different ideas, different subdivisions of where to put them. How would I actually play them in real life, you know, to make them sound appropriate for me? So taking two ideas, the 4 right, or vice versa, the 4, whoops, I can't do it. 4 ta ta, right, with the left hand lead, right. Scotty says hi. Or 4 ta ta 1, right. Have the 3-stroke rough into the thing if I do a right hand lead or vice versa. So going back and forth. So like you could do the right hand lead, 4 left hand lead, right? Right. Ah! Now I can't do it. You get the idea. But consecutive lefts are, I'm just trying to find my weaknesses and ideas that I like and what sucks about them for my playing. The rights I got down pretty good. Like most people, your dominant hand is gonna be fine. Especially if you've been playing a long time, like you'll get stuff pretty quick and confidently with this. This is the bane of my existence. A, doing it with traditional grip, but also it just sucks, right? here it's like, that's what I want it to be. When I do it fast, it's like, sometimes it's weird. It sounds like rust or just, like it doesn't come out right? Any other people have that problem where it's in your head, you know what to do. You go to play it and you're like, like it just doesn't translate out. And that's a technique problem, meaning not physically what you're doing. Obviously, limitations are going to be there, but the definition of technique is how clearly you get what's up here out, right? It's not just like, you know, you're like, that is important, but it's like your brain's ability to tell your body what to do. That's what technique is. It's not how you look when you do it, but it's how well you can translate it out. It just comes out right, hopefully, right? Sometimes it does. But that's the thing is, a lot of times, so many colleagues of mine think, you know, like when you're playing, they could be like ripping players, right? But they're constantly playing this game of chance, or they feel like they're gambling when they go to play something. You know, am I gonna pull this off? My left would be killer. Play left on a right hand setup. Oh, right on during COVID. That would have been good. Yeah. Yeah, it's just, if you give your left hand more things to do and dominant leads, it gets better, but this is like so far ahead of the curve because we've been using whatever dominant hand you have. You've been using it since you were a kid. I used to do this with students because I used to have some kids who said they were ambidextrous. Now, I get it. Maybe you can do things with your left hand, and you're right. That is very cool. I've only met one person that I honestly think was truly ambidextrous. Like they could do anything with either hand. It was like wild. And I would say if I took a baseball and held it up like a really hard baseball, and you were like 10 feet away, right? And I whipped it right at your face, like as hard as I could. What hand would you put up to cover your face? Would you go, huh? Probably not, because you don't really know where it's going to go. So you want to cover down here, but you want to cover your face. So I tell them, whatever your instinct kicks in, whatever comes up to save you, right? That's your brain going, look, you're cool and all, but we're putting our best up at the front lines, right? So it's kind of this thing, like whenever you get into a predicament, it's like, well, like does you, or if something's falling, do you reach with your right hand or do you reach with your left? That's your dominant hand, right? Whether or not you can bat with your left and whatever, you know, shake a shaker with your right, I don't know. But you're gonna have a dominant one that is just more confident, you know, just from like use of over the years as a kid. Your brain just makes this connection with one side to protect you and to kind of save the day. Simon, what's up? Simon's on YouTube now. Hi. You know, like open hand playing, super useful. Takes a lot of work. Yeah, playing. Sorry, who usually is here. He played open-handed. I know a couple people that do that. Travis Orban, Mike Mangini is saying, yeah. There's a couple other people I'm trying to think of that do it. Or just weird. This doesn't make sense if you really think about it, right? It's like the hi-hat should be like here or something, you know, or wherever, over here. But yeah, this is kind of weird. The hi-hat itself was just, it used to be a low boy, right? Now it's called a hi-hat, but it used to be low, and it was over here because your right foot was playing the kick drum. So this was the only place you couldn't have it like, you know, 2 feet over here. It'd be weird. So this is here just based off of tradition and like, we'll just raise it up and I'll play it like here. And it wasn't meant to be like a, you know, crazy thing that we do now or a dominant force of the music. like it became with rock and roll. Jazz, you still just kind of played it, right? You still just kind of chicked and did the thing. But now, like, we just kind of grew up with it here. Like, this is just the way, right? Crossing your arms and doing this. Is it the right way? Probably not. It's actually doesn't make sense at all. It's like you're constricting movement. Like, it's like drumming like this. But it's just how we played. So yeah, this does make a lot of sense. It really does. But it's hard. It's hard to train your brain. And I don't know, like, I think a lot of drummers avoid it too. Heavenly Melodies. Hello. It's here. I feel like a lot of drummers, and this was my thought process of the early 2000s when I was like in bands and, you know, mid 2000s. I thought this looked really dumb. I don't want to be mean, but I mean, Danny Carey did it a little bit and I saw a couple drummers do it, but I'm like, look, I'm on a band. Like, I want to be like, you know, I want to look like a drummer, look like a rock star, look how I'm supposed to, right? It's all about the look. You want your cymbals to be cool. You're not really worried about setup. You're just like, oh, my drums look cool. Get that flat floor tom like Travis. Look awesome. I didn't want to be like, it just seemed weird to me. And I was like, look, I don't care how smart it is, but like, I just don't like how it looks. And that's a pretty dumb way to approach it. But I think a lot of drummers have that thought of like, well, it's not normal. It looks weird. And they don't want to look like that or try something new, you know? Nice, Incubus. Nice. So you're a Mike Einzinger fan, I'd imagine. Yeah, different mindsets. Fun fact, my friend bought a house in Calabasas right next to the house that Mike bought for his mom. And I was like, oh, Mike is a sweetheart and bought his mom a house. Like a big house. Not like, here you go, Mom, I bought you a house. It's like this little thing. Like a really nice house. So he's a good dude. I was like, that is so cool. Because, you know, she's like, yeah, my son plays in a band. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. Because, you know, she's like, oh, Dan's in a band. Oh, my son's in a band. I'm like, oh, what band? Incubus. I'm like, what? That's so cool. So he's very nice. He's very nice. He's good. He's a good person. And Baki, hello. So yeah, we'll get back to it. But man, I used to listen to Incubus so much. They're such a good band. Grew up on Motown and Jackson's, and led to Zeppelin, Metallica, Pantera, Slipknot. Just love music. Nice. I'm old, dude. Being old is good. I'm old too. I don't know. I like the thought process that comes with being old. It's good. It's very good. 52. Right on. That's not old. I'm 40. I'm behind you. I'm right behind you. Try a different snare today, but I'm trying not to try different gear. I know it sounds stupid, but well, while we're practicing for these couple months, I'm trying not to like change up things a lot, so I can really focus on just when I get a new snare and I get distracted and I'm like, ooh. But I almost brought the copper one out today, just cause, but we might do that later. But let's carry on. Carry on. Cheers. getting distracted. These are good talks. I'm curious. Scotty, Dan, these days I practice. We're starting with your weaker hand and keep moving accents around. So different from just playing. Yeah, right, Scotty. That's what I've been doing too. It's like we can you can play, right? Like you can probably play a billion songs or whatever. You're like I could do that. But yeah, it's like the simple things that we know. That's not good. So, are we still here? It's windy, so we lost power last night for a little bit, but I don't know. Maybe we're not here. Could be. Hello. I think we're still live. But like you said, like we all know a paradiddle, but shifting the accent around or playing a paradiddle in a different subdivision or all those little things like we don't normally play, but stopping to think about it really exposes weaknesses. But working on those weaknesses and, strengthening, like just maybe you'll never play an accented, Radamacue or whatever. But the fact that you've gone through it and you know the outcome of it, if you have to do it, just makes you so much of a better player. It's like if you're only cooking with like 4 ingredients, like you can make some cool stuff and you can live well, you could eat good, steak, potatoes, and I don't know, scotch, some corn or whatever. You're good, right? Like you'll be like, I'm gonna eat just fine. You could do a lot with that. But, if you add in some spices or a couple other ingredients, it just broadens what you can do with all that. So same thing with the drum set. If you're cooking with just a couple ideas, you're going to be eating the same thing and sharing the same meal with everybody for a long time. It could be the best. It could be like home cooking, right? You're like, your mom makes the same thing all the time and you're like, but it's amazing. Cool. But just for the fact of like experimenting and being creative, just trying other things, adding it in. Maybe you might add just one little extra spice to your normal thing, and that'll go a long way. I gave drumming up to be a chef. Right on. Let's go. Oh, that's awesome. That's so cool. I know a couple people that are chefs, and that's what I mean. Like when people say like, "Oh, I'm a drummer," I'm like, "Cool," But when it's like, well, when people say like, "Oh, yeah, I could be a chef," it's like, really? Right? There's so much more to it than just like cooking or just drumming. Like when you want to master the craft, it's like you said, like just you gotta like, what happens if I throw in some cinnamon with this, or like you gotta experiment. You gotta figure out what all these ingredients do together, how they work, how they don't work. But that just makes your normal everyday playing or cooking just that much better, Children. It's Saturday, guys. They're home from school. And it's cold outside, so they're going to be inside stomping around all day. Oh, my God! Their mother said no video games until dad is done working. So tonight is a video game, be a bum night in our house. Seriously, we're going to just sit by the fire, play games, and just have a bros night. Pro gamer kids, We're just going to be chilling, playing video games tonight, being bums. They don't get to play video games during the week because of school. But on the weekends, it's on, right? So tonight we're going to be cozy and play video games. So that means they're going to be running around, getting their energy out. They're probably sword fighting, shooting. God knows what they're doing there. I can't read theory or know theory. I play by ear, and I regret not knowing theory. It's never too late, Incubus. Never too late. In fact, I say the later in life you learn something that you are really interested in or care about, you're going to learn it way more faster and efficiently than when you were younger. A lot of people say that like, oh, it's too late to learn certain things. I'm like, well, if you really want to learn theory or if you want to learn an instrument, some of my best students that I've ever had were over 60 as far as like drum students go. The adults were amazing because they were there because they wanted to be, and they knew like, hey, I'm paying for this. I'm not messing around. I want to get this right. Young kids, like their natural abilities, like, yeah, their youth, whatever, their brains, muscles, they have time. They're like, whatever. They don't have jobs. You know, it does make sense, but a lot of them don't really understand what they're learning or why they're learning it. Some do. I don't want to say they don't. Some really understand it because they're really interested in it, and they usually go on to be, you know, career musicians. But I think as an adult, whatever hobby or whatever thing, anything you pick up later in life that you're interested in, you're gonna like really, really get something out of that. And with YouTube right now, just the amount of knowledge that's out there for theory. Rick Beato, I watch some of his interviews. He seems like a really cool guy. Seems like a neat dude. I really don't know if he's like sincere yet or not. I get the, but you know, like all these content creators, you're like, I don't know if he's just being nice on a video or if he seems like a cool dude. But he's got like a couple theory videos that I know some people have watched and said that helped them. If you type in like basic music theory, there's some really great videos online to get started with. I would say this: don't sit down with a guitar and do this. Sit down with a piano. A guitar is gonna, if you're a guitar player and you're trying to learn theory, you're gonna get distracted. A piano, just sit down, even if you're like, I know this, still just go through it. I know, okay, here's intervals, here's inversions, and here's modes, and here's chord, whatever. You'd be surprised how much you already know. It's just putting the pieces together and filling in the missing links. Highly recommend. Yeah, he seems nice. That's what I mean. He seems like a cool dude. Seems like an okay cat, you know? Some of those people, I'm like, I don't know if they're trying to sell me stuff, and they're just like, you know? You know? You know what I'm saying? They're like, oh, hey, thanks for coming to the video. Buy my book. It's only $1,000. And onto the video. And you're like, well, wait, what? Are you just making this video to tell me to buy your book? But he seems like an okay cat. Some of the people he's interviewed, I'm like, all right. If they're with him, talking to him, he must be a cool dude. I got to watch more of his stuff. Drum reading is math when you break it down. That's right, Scotty. Yeah, all music is, even intervals. If you're talking about like a C and a C, an octave apart, those wavelengths are so similar, right? It's half the wavelength, right? So once you learn about that kind of stuff and you're like, oh my God, it's all connected. It really is. Like, there's no wrong notes. Music is purely, if you're approaching it like with a intellectual mind, and some of you guys will know what I'm talking about. I know some insanely smart people that went to like Ivy League schools. One of my best friends in the world. One of my cousins married someone that's like so freaking smart. Like, it's crazy. But they would stand out in the rain for like 10 minutes and be like, hey man, it's raining. You should probably come inside so you don't get wet. They're like, oh yeah, I should do that. They're brilliant. But their common sense and their like everyday kind of like just like street smarts is non-existent, right? I have a funny story real quick. That cousin's husband, we were coming home for a funeral, all the family. So I was flying in from LA, and I met him at the airport, and we were going to rent a car and drive together. And he's very smart, like Rain Man, crazy smart. And we get in the rental car, right? Like I just flown a red eye, and I'm tired. It's a funeral. Like, I'm not in a good mood. And so we get in the rental car, and he's like, I've never had this happen before. It's just like a Chevy whatever, Cruze or just a sedan, right? Nothing crazy. I'm in the passenger seat. He doesn't really drive a lot, right? Because he teaches at a university. Again, very smart. He gets in the car and he's like, all right, I got to go over all the stuff. And I'm sitting there, right? I'm tired. I've been awake for like 24 hours, whatever. We're sitting in the parking lot and he's like, mirror, okay, mirrors, yep. All right, where's the, okay, yep. All right, where's the safety hazard, okay, yep. He's going over like flight, like he's going to take off from a aircraft carrier on like a F-35 or something. I'm sitting in the passenger seat like, it's a freaking car, man, just go. Like, they're all the same. And then he's like, well, we got to test the brakes. So he pulls the car out. We're in the airport rental lot. And he's like driving and he's like, slamming on the brakes. And I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, well, I got to make sure they're safe for when we, and I'm like, oh my God. He's like, I'm sitting in this car. He's testing the steering, testing the brakes. And I was like, dude, it's a car. Just go. Just, so that's what I mean. Some people approach music that way. You know, like, oh, I can't possibly do this chord change because it doesn't match with this and because of theory. It's like, break the rules. Just do what, learn them, but learn how to break them as well. Do I wear a hat all year round? I do, Norway, pretty much. I don't have any hair, so my head gets chilly. I'm in the basement. I'm underground, so it gets a little cold, right? But yeah, that's my point, is learn all this stuff. Like this. I know so many drummers who dive into this and think like so analytically about it, but then they go to play and they just suck. They can't turn it into magic, you know? So be smart about it. Learn the rules. Learn what makes it tick, the thing that you love, but don't let it affect how you live your life with it, you know? That makes sense. But yeah. Oh my God, I'll never forget that. And he drove like 30 miles an hour on the interstate, maybe 35. And he was driving like, so 10 and 2, right? He was like, oh man, there's a lot of traffic today. I'm like, just freaking go. I'm like, I'll drive, man. He's like, well, you're not on the rental agreement. I was like, okay, all right, whatever. We could just come from two different worlds, right? I'm in the world of like a musician. Like, I'm like, there's rules. I'm going to break all of them. Like, whatever. Who cares? And he's from the world of like books and like everything is in its place. It was a long car ride. I'll tell you that. Jalen, what's up? And I couldn't talk to him when we were driving because I was going to distract him. I can't make this up. And he offered to take me back to the airport, and I was like, no, I'm good. My parents will take me. Thank you. Gump, hello. Happy Saturday, guys. Yeah, he do this. There's people like that driving on the road. It makes sense, though. Like, I drive, like, I'm chilling, listen to whatever. My dog's hanging out, you know, barking at whatever. And you see people driving and they look like, I'm going to be mean, but it looks like they've got like they're carrying, I don't know, some insanely sensitive cargo. They're just so like, oh, I'm like, oh my gosh, relax. It's cool. You have power steering and your brakes are going to be fine. You know, you have airbags. I'm surprised you didn't want to test the airbags out. Well, I'm just going to run into this wall and make sure the airbags work. God, I'll never forget that day. It was awful. But yeah. Here we go. We're going to try it. 3-stroke roughs. Ba-ba-ba. And we'll move on to 4s and 5s, 6s and 7s. That's the plan today, but, you know, trying to just, again, find things that I'm really, really have dug from the past 2 weeks of practice. Constant, what's up? Drive like Canadians on vacation. There's a Bluey episode. Anyone watch Bluey here? Incubus, speaking of Australia. You probably take an hour to get a damn coffee. Yes. Exactly. He'd be like, well, you know, you're blah, 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 blah. It's like, dude, just give me the coffee. Unfortunately, what? Bluey is the best show ever. I will fight you. Bluey's amazing. Oh, I see you with that Norm. I see that Norm. But there's an episode, what do they call them? There's an episode about like old people in RVs or caravans. They call them something in Australia. They call them like something funny, and the dad is just trying to like beat traffic so he doesn't get stuck behind all the old people with their caravans. It's such a good episode. It's so good. Oh, Bluey's amazing. Honestly, yeah, if you have kids, you'll get it. But even if you don't have kids, it's a sweet show. It's pretty cool. The dad is like my spirit animal. He's amazing. Bingo, amazing. Oh, not Bingo. No, what's the dad's name? Crap. What's his name? Oh my God, what's the dad's name on Bluey? Bingo is the little sister. Bluey. Bandit. Yeah, Bandit. Bandit's the name. Gray Nomads. Yeah, it could be Nomads. That could be right. It's pretty funny, because the dad's like, we gotta get on the road. And it shows him like flooring it on the on-ramp to like beat him. There's like 10 of them going real slow. And he's like on the on-ramp. And then he's like, no! He gets stuck behind him. And they're all like, and he's just in the car like, oh my God. It's the best, because I've been there so many times. Bandit Healer is a hero. Seriously, Incubus, this is a great show. It's probably one of the best cartoons ever made. It's insane how good that show is. It's brilliant. It's so good. When he goes to Hammer Barn, when his neighbor like gets that pizza oven, he's like, hey, Bandit, check out my new pizza oven. I got it at Hammer Barn. And Bandit's like, we're going to Hammer Barn. It's the best. It's amazing. It's so good. It's so good. They just need more episodes? Yeah, well, there's a lot of episodes, right? I don't know. There's a lot. It's good. My wife always cries when we watch that show. She's always like, ooh. They get you. They're like the Pixar of like TV shows. Every one you watch, you're like, oh my God. It's good though. Bluey's on TV. Just watch it. You'll thank me later. You'll be like, you know what, Dan? You're right. Oh man, what's another good one? Oh, the one. Sorry, I know. I'm gonna practice button. What's one more thing? When it shows Bandit with his brothers as kids, and I should say Bandit's my spirit animal, but I think Bandit's dad is my spirit animal. They do a flashback of him as a kid, and they jinx each other. And he goes up to his dad on the beach as a kid. He's like metal detecting or something, and he's got 3 boys, right? And like they're all talking. He's like, "What's your problem? Why aren't you talking?" And the one brother's like, "Jinx, we jinxed him." And he's like, "Oh, right on. So you're not talking?" I'm like, that dad is amazing. He's like, "Well, I'm not saying your name. I don't want to hear you." Yeah, I want to know his dad's name because that's my hero. That's me. Good episode. All right. 3-stroke roughs. Moving them around. Then we'll move to 4s. It's such a good feeling to know you're alive. Constant, right? Let's get some Mr. Rogers in there too. Get all the good feeling shows in there. I've got that Frank Sinatra's. I'm using this song to practice this. Under My Skin. I got you deep in the heart of me. Da 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 da. Oh wait, what's up? Real quick, here's the ride. A Meinl Byzance Foundry Reserve. I got you deep in the heart of me. And ain't that a kick in the head, right? All those Sinatra-esque things are just put on the soundtrack of Fallout 3. You know, keep hacking and whacking. Same thing. I was watching Gathalion yesterday, King Gathalion. He's a good dude. He's playing Fallout 76, and it was free on PlayStation. I have it, and I kind of want to try it. Mentioned you in another stream, and I went to check you out. Oh, right on. Thank you. That's so cool. That's nice. I like that. But, oh, wait. Hello. Are you a drummer? Or are you just checking out drums? Or bad drummers on Twitch? That's me. It's a pleasure to meet you, though. I appreciate whoever suggested you. to fours. Got to work on it, but I like that. That's something we'll work on. Pixie dust. Hello. Oh, my back just popped. Oh, felt good though. It hurts, but it feels good at the same time. This is the oldest man drum stream on Twitch. Can confirm. You know, some are like the loudest, the craziest. I'm the oldest. I'm like, my back. Those are the sounds. If you know what I'm talking about, you know. Page 55 is where four-stroke roughs began. So, again, working on all this stuff to find what I like to play about them, or some of my favorite things throughout those exercises. There was a lot to take away from the three. There's 50 pages of three-stroke roughs, and that was a big takeaway for me. A four-stroke rough, though, we're gonna kind of go off of two grace notes before the stroke grind instead of having both hands. Yeah, well, Scotty, yeah, there's yes. The technical term for a rough is, like you're saying, or a drag, right? Essentially, the way that I'm playing this, or the way that I'm approaching this is in terms of roughs and rolls. So some people refer to, right, so a flam and then a drag. Some people call that a rough, like a rough, right? Or, and it is technically 3 notes in a roll. Totally cool. In this book, a rough, and I think in the general sense, or the technical term, a rough is playing singles and a roll is playing diddles. So, like in this case, a 4-stroke rough would be single notes. A 4-stroke roll would be doubles, right? Or a 5-stroke rough, alternating singles, and a 5-stroke roll, right? The term rough, just like 3 strokes aren't technically like a rudiment, but you know, instead of saying 3-stroke singles, they call it a rough. But you're right. Some people refer to, you know, playing that as a triplet or depending on how you do it. Some people, it technically is the same thing, yeah. Whole bounce technique is top. Yeah. So think of it like in a sense of like continuity between all these bigger rolls, we're just calling it a 3-stroke rough. Because at fast tempos, you can play it, right? I think instead of calling it a 3-stroke roll, that's technically what you would call it, right? And then a 3-stroke rough is the singles version of that. At least that's how I'm kind of doing it based off of the book. Pretty much all the roughs are single stroke roll based, and all the rolls are diddle based. I'm back on the coffee, I think. The largest movement grunt sounds per minute. Yeah, that's right, Cal. The whole bounce technique is, what do you mean by that, Scotty? Yeah, the 2 grace note things, that's a drag. right? So you have a fifth am. Right? Or your drag rudiments. I think it depends on who you ask, you know. I think orchestral players, I don't know. I see I'm not really an orchestral player. They might say, they might call those like roughs. But I always thought of them as drags. But a 4-stroke rough right now, this is playing Children. Is playing on the ands of essentially the triplet. So we're either going to have triplet and or one and, right? So I'm just going to take some time, figure out how I want to approach this with a groove, with a ride. I'm going to start by just putting it on beat 4. So like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. What are they for? Right? But we'll start with the ride. We'll see what happens. So here's the difference between the 3-stroke rough and the 4-stroke rough. This is why I'm doing this, to really just learn how it sounds. So a 4-stroke rough starts on the and, or if you're playing like 1 and 2 and 3, and you're gonna get like that triplet sound is gonna be a lot quicker, or that stroke, that rough. Let me see if I can find it here. Yeah, let me put a little star by this. So this is going to sound faster than the 3-stroke, even though they're very similar. And please ask questions if you have them. Grab a turn, drive. But either you bounce the strokes or you make the strokes. Yeah, I'm trying not to. I see what you mean, like bounce or controlled strokes. I'm not like. I think a bounce stroke would be like a press roll or something like that, or where you're putting pressure. I'm trying to play them 100%. Yeah, like try to make them clean, like an open roll. So that term is called open or closed roll. I'm playing these as like a 5-stroke open roll. Right? So at tempo, a closed roll, you know, it's more, a lot tighter. Instead of open and close, or instead of being open when you hear each double, closed roll. That's probably maybe what you're thinking. That would be called a closed roll. Open. When you're playing just 2 notes, that's an open roll. And then when you're buzzing, that's a closed roll. If that makes sense. Tempo dependent. You're not going to play a closed roll at like 40, being like, you know, like, you're not going to really do that. But it's tempo dependent on how good it's going to sound. Frosty, hi. Following for, all right fun. Thank you. Trying to fix up sticking lately and was wondering if you have any tips. I'm left-handed, play right-handed, but do most fills using my left hand as more dominant hand when I drum, and I want to change that. Any suggestions help? So you're playing like Ringo. That's kind of cool. Frosty, did you know that Ringo played he played right hand lead? I don't know if Ringo's left-handed or not, but he started all his fills with his left hand. Some people say that was his magic touch. Is there a reason you're playing right hand lead? Are you forcing it? His mom made him do things right-handed. Yeah, because I have a couple thoughts about this with my students. If they were left-handed, I always told them you're gonna have a hard time trying to play right-handed. It's like if you're trying to play guitar and you're left-handed, if you're like, I'm gonna learn on this so I don't have to say, oh, I need a left-handed guitar. I get the point of I want to sit down at any drum set and just be able to play it. It sucks, guys. If you're left-handed, everything here is opposite. The snare's in the same spot, but tom is over here, hi-hat. So if you want to go jam on your friend's kit, or you want to take drum lessons at a drum shop and you go in there, I would always have to change the drums around. And it was hard for students who were going to places with electronic drums, because you can't just swap those around. They were like, well, okay, I guess I'll learn right-handed. If I have any suggestions for you, when it comes to stickings, it would be, you've got a lot going on in your mind that most drummers don't. If you're trying to play like that, you're worrying about, all right, this is unnatural to me because I'm left-handed, so I'm trying to strengthen a weaker hand to be dominant. But then when you go to do fills, the problem is if you're playing a right-handed kit, you're with Ringo just kind of played da-da-dee-da-dee-da-dee-da-boom, right? He wasn't playing crazy intricate stuff, so that wasn't a big deal. You start getting into tempos, a lot of the stuff you learn as a drummer it's not necessarily what you're playing at that moment, but it's how are you going to get to the next thing, and get out of your own way and learn that a lot of drumming isn't this, it's moving around the kit, right? How do you adjust techniques? And after you hit here, you're already knowing where you're going to be and where to put your right hand. You already know, all right, I'm here, and you just learn that. When you're first learning, you're going, oh crap, oh yeah, right? There's that hesitation. As you start playing, you learn it hopefully becomes a fluid motion, so you can focus on your technique and you already know how to adjust to move it around. But you have something else going on, is you want to lead with your left, right? But you start getting into crossover situations, right? And you're like, ugh, especially if you got other toms going on or whatever. So if you're coming from a right-hand thing, you bring that tempo up. That's really hard to do, because you're going to start playing, if you're doing left-hand fills and you crash with your left, that's a lot. And then to get your right hand back, it's just to the groove. It's got to be very frustrating. And I noticed that with students that were doing it, they would just get, I don't want to say tangled up, but it's very hard to do if you're fighting that. If you're playing with that weaker hand, it just makes it harder. Started off learning right-handed, then my 7th year into drumming, my teacher finally realized I'm lefty, and I ended up learning fills and sticking left. I alternate when playing basic beat because stuff I play is more metal. I want to make it so I can alternate. Okay, so you just want independence. If you're doing metal like that, do you play open-handed then? I mean, that stuff, if you're playing blast beats and stuff with metal like that, I mean, you're going to be... A lot of drummers have to put their hi-hat over here to do some crazy stuff because they want that open thing. If you're cool with it, and how is your foot? How is your right foot in all that? That's the thing. Moving across the kit with my left is just some right hand fills I'm struggling with. I just want to strengthen that hand. Yeah, then just do the exact same stuff that I'm trying to do. It's just force that hand to become the leader. Start with basic things that you can already do with your left hand, right? But do it with a right hand lead. It sounds silly, but that's the key, is giving this hand some responsibility. Your muscles, you have to think. It took 7 years. Yeah. Who's your teacher? I could play open, but more for ghost notes. Right on. That's so cool. I'm envious, man. That's you got a lot more going on up here than most. When it comes to strengthening hands, people think like, oh, I have to build up my muscle and all that. It's like it's already there. You have, maybe this is a little beefier over here, like these muscles, but you have everything that you need. It's just that mental thing, right? You have to build up that connection between your brain and the hand. Your hand can go just as fast as this does. We might not think it can because we go, bah, 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 and then we're like, and you're like, oh, my hand is so weak. It's not. It's just that you haven't learned those reflexes and your brain hasn't learned how to do it. Some of the best things you can do is it's like the big brother thing. Try this. Take your stick, go on a pad, just try to go, like, find that tempo at 16th notes or 8th notes, like find out where you start getting tension, right? Like, when do you start? So for you, it'll be with your right hand. Find, when does that start? When do you start kinking up your shoulder? When do you start gripping the stick? When are you like, oh my God? But find where you can just play, like, maybe fingers or with your wrist naturally, and just stop there for a second, right? You'll notice it might be whatever. Find that number. Then do that same exact thing. Put the metronome on at that tempo that you just found. Go to your strong hand, do the same thing. You're going to be like, oh, it feels easy, right? Then bring in your weaker hand, and you're going to notice it's like, your weaker. So for you, it's going to be this hand is like the little brother. This is the big brother. Little brother, my kids do this all the time. The little ones watch the bigger ones. They learn from the bigger ones, good and bad. If you start with the good one and then bring in the left or your weaker hand, it's going to mimic. And then while you're doing it, pay attention to your arms, to those muscles. Say, all right, this tempo by itself, I struggle because it has no guidance. It doesn't really know what to do. It's just out there all by itself. And you're asking it to be in charge. You're asking it to do very important things, and it's not used to that. So with help, it goes, oh, okay, this is what I need to do. Bring the strong hand in at the same time, learn those movements, but pay attention to the weaker hand. You don't need to worry about Big Brother. Big Brother knows what they're doing. But while you're playing them both together, say, all right, how's my grip? Am I tensing up? How come this feels easier? Am I relaxing more with the help of the right hand? Take the main hand away and leave the weaker hand. You'll notice it's going to get all like, oh my God, what's happening? And then bring this back. You'll notice stability come back in. Keep doing that at that tempo that was hard, or where you notice that tension building up, right? Because that's your limit. You might not think, it might not be for this hand, but that's your tempo limit for this, between your brain and your hand. It's not muscles. It's not, you don't have enough whatever built up to play fast. You have all the muscles and everything you need. You just need to build up the reaction time and the confidence. So doing that, it's a very simple exercise, right? Just find that tempo where things start to get shaky. Bring in the good hand, play them unison notes, play them together. Pay attention to the weak hand. Go, okay, this is where it feels weird. Oh God, like I'm tightening up here. This is weird. Take the good hand away, and then just let it start to become more confident, right? I notice it with my kids. At first the little ones are like, oh, I'll do what that does, what the older one's doing. They're still a little timid. And then eventually I look out the window, they're doing it all by themselves. They don't even need their big brothers around. Same thing with this hand. Do it with, once you get that done, then go to accents, right? Like 1 E and 2 E and 3, just basic accents. And you'll notice you set a metronome, you're gonna find a tempo where that is impossible. You're like, oh my God, I'm all tense. This feels horrible. Again, do it with your dominant hand. You're gonna be like, oh man, I'm amazing. This is easy. And then bring them in together, and you'll notice. And then take it away. Bring it in. You're just teaching. You have to teach the weaker hand. It's not strengthening. You're teaching it. It can do everything that the right hand does, but it's just a matter of like how much time do you want to put into teaching it. And a lot of drummers are like, I don't really need to, it's like, I don't need to be ambidextrous, but we all do. We all need to. It's all something we need to do. So I hope that helps. That instead of going out and buying a million books or running through a million different things, that's the quickest way to build up control. Then you can worry about speed and strengthening if you really want to get into different techniques, or another thing would be just all your rudiments on like the paper for rudiments. A lot of drummers will blow through them because they're like, oh, they'll just do all right hand lead stuff. Oh, I could play paradiddles, or I could play Swiss triplets, and they'll learn them like with a right hand lead, and like, oh, next drags, blah, 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 cool flams, flam. They're with their dominant hand, just running through all that stuff. Single stroke roll, doubles. Do the rudiments, reverse stickings, right? That's a great way to just get to cover everything after you start learning your limitations with your weaker hand. But that's a great question. So yeah, let me know how you make out if you do start going down that road. It doesn't take much, if you do a solid week of like really playing unison notes at a tempo, and then go back with your left hand and just see, I bet you'll be able to increase that tempo for the weaker hand. And that's how you're going to start building up speed and control. You have the muscles already. It's not like you're missing things that this hand doesn't have. It's just your brain doesn't want to give this control. Forcing myself to relearn, but I've used my right hand, my dominant. Yeah, Frosty, you're in such a different position than most drummers. I can't even imagine like the things that you're thinking about when you're going to play a fill or going back to a groove, or I don't know. If I'm performing, I'm like right hand all the way. Like, was it Jesus Take the Wheel? I'm like, dude, you do your thing, man. Just keep us on one. I don't really mess around when I'm performing, or if I'm letting go and just playing. That's one thing we're working on. It's like I don't really do a lot of left hand lead stuff unless I have to. So yeah, you got a lot like mentally going on, just switching between things that most drummers don't even have to worry about. So yeah, but you strengthening that left or that right hand, you're gonna be, I don't want to say unstoppable, but that's gonna strengthen your dominant hand as well. And then you can take that exercise, like I said, with unison notes, right? Once you start doing that, you can start, you can start alternating. I'll try with my left. Right? Oh, the flams. Blah, 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 blah. That's what you don't want. And be humbled by like how fast your non-dominant hand is really gonna want to go before you notice like, oh man, I got tension here, my shoulder's kinked. Find that spot. Bring in Big Brother. And Big Brother is gonna want to go faster. Big Brother's gonna be like, come on man, let's go. And that's when you're gonna get into the flams. So really be a good big brother. Make sure that the dominant hand, the one that's leading, is being a good brother and waiting for little brother and not trying to, freak him out. If that makes sense. Yeah. Oh, with the reverse sticking. It's hard. Like going through rudiments in general, just doing like double stroke rolls, or like Swiss triplets. Do them with your weaker hands. It's so like, oh my gosh, I got a lot of work to do. Even just basic flams, practicing stick heights and stuff. But if you can get those hands unison, if you can start matching up tempos that they're comfortable with, then you can already play single strokes faster, right? You just shift that hand down. So if you can play unison, that's your gauge of like, all right, what's my limit with my weaker hand? If you want to find out your true tempo weakness, like where's your limit? Just take your weaker hand and play like 16th notes or 8th notes at tempo. And then that's your limit. That's where you're going to start really getting tension, noticing sloppiness, because you just double that, and that's your blast beats or whatever. Muscle, hello. Also, another quick question, because my right hand is weaker, I don't know why, but I find it easier to do ghost notes in comparison to my left. Yeah. That's because, and I don't want to, because every drummer does this. It's like playing ghost notes with our left hand is easier with the right. Why you see drummers that are like, right? They're like, or like, drummers with your right hand, it's a confidence thing. Your left hand or your right hand, the weaker hand, is all about playing quiet and timid. It's like, oh, okay, cool. Just kind of go. Your dominant hand is used to being like, kick down the door, like, let's go. And then it's hard to like regain balance with those. And what a lot of drummers, that's an exercise of like, everything you do with your right, do with your left. Everything you do with your hands, do with your feet. That's just going to give you an all-around really good thing. Working with those hands, practicing. Stuff like that, just strengthen this hand. And you'll notice that, don't worry about like, well, now my ghost notes are going to be really loud. If you're strengthening and gaining control, it could be you're just not really bringing volumes down like with that dominant hand. Should be able to play quietly, if that makes sense. So what a lot of drummers think of are children. Holy crap. So if you're having issues playing quietly with your dominant hand, it's probably because you're not fully, your technique might not be there you're thinking like power, right? You're thinking big strokes. You have to think of it like when you're playing quiet, if you're going to play a ghost note, you need to be in control of that stick after a big hit, right? You need to keep it down and then be able to tap with it. A lot of times drummers are playing really heavy, and if you're coming from up here and trying to play a ghost note, right? Your stick is like a foot or 16, 18 inches away, and you got to get it down to play quiet. So you're bringing it down with all this momentum. It's not going to play quiet. It's going to be like, oh, let's go. So you have to learn or teach your strong hand, like, hey, I know I'm going to play ghost notes, so you have to be able to stop the stroke right off the head, not touch the head, right off the head, to be able to play bounces. The reason that your weaker hand is so good at that is because all it does is go loud, and then it's just kind of there. You're not really trying to play, or you're not in a heightened sense of like urgency, because your right hand's always going. It's like it wants to go up and be ready for the next thing. Your left hand's used to, like chilling out in between snare hits or whatever, or your weaker hand. So with your hands, just practice hitting and then being right there. And then practice. The next thing would be tap up. But when you tap up, make sure your stick is as close to the head as you can without, like, don't hit and then try to do a tap from up here, because it's going to be loud, right? If you're up here and then go, oh crap, I have to play quietly, that's unnecessary movement and momentum and just time that you don't need to worry about it. So practice just keeping that stick there and then tapping up for the next one. Same thing. Tap up. They give it like I always told students, it's like a samurai sword, in the movies. They're like, whoosh, they come like right up to the nose. We worry about just throwing the stick down. And that's the thing with like Moeller and some of these techniques. It's hard to like control rebound to keep it down for people. Like they're just used to letting the sticks flop around and pew, 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 rebound like crazy. But if you're in control of that rebound, that's why like not doing Moeller and learning this stuff with just your wrists, that's going to give you a lot of like really good control. If you're doing this, it's really hard to play controlled ghost notes when you're learning this way. It's like just stay down here for now. Really learn just the basics of wrist finger control. So I hope that helps, Frosty. Great question. And Muscle, good morning. Tips was here earlier, said it was real cold and the power was out for him a little bit. I hope you're good. Did your power go out? I'm trying to think. Ours flickered last night. I got a little worried. I was like, oh crap. Okay, hold on. Did Chief? Am I saying that right? I think I'm reading that right. Hello. We were good. Okay, good. Yeah. I think he said his was out for like 32 hours or something. That's a long time. Be in the restroom when the power goes out. I take it you like cats. I'm allergic to cats. I love cats, but I can't pet them. They make me sneeze. Yeah, that's a lot. Like 32 hours, that's a long time. I worry about like when it gets that cold, and like that's the thing. It's like the pipes freeze if your heating is electric based, or scary stuff, man. Scary. Ba-do-ba-do-do-do. Frosty. But thanks for those questions, and let me know if you have more. Just shoot me a message or something. But that's where I would start. Like if you were a student of mine, I would say, well, let's just, instead of getting ahead of ourselves with all these crazy exercises for strengthening, you have to start with the foundation of things. Like, well, what's really going on? Like, where are your limits with your weaker hand? When does it start falling apart? Start there and strengthen that. And that's going to make all those other strengthening and independence exercises so much more better. And then if you're worried about ghost notes, just control the rebound. Learn like, all right, the loud, soft, loud tap, down tap. But learn to stop the stick right after, like, shoot. Don't let it come back up. And don't sit there and, I had students that used to do it and like, they would do it and be like, I could see their arm like shaking, right? Because they're like, it's just a quick, like, stop it with your fingers thing. It's just like that. Don't add more tension. Just stop the rebound. Don't let it come up, because it's gonna want to, right? That stick's gonna want to fly back up. So you're gonna want to stop it. That's what happened 2 years ago here, 3 days out in the house, and it was brutal. Yeah. Because, like, we have, what do you call it? We have, like, a fireplace I got up early. I dropped the truck off to get new brakes. But like we have a propane fireplace. When we moved here, it's a real fireplace, but they put like the propane one in there, or the natural gas or whatever it is. And I'm like, I don't want that anymore. I want like wood. You know, if it hits the fan and the power goes out, I want to like, cause ours it's got an electric fan in there to blow hot air out, but like I want to be huddled around that thing. And then if that runs out, if the power's out, we had a storm last April that some people had power out for like 10 days up here in Pennsylvania in the boonies. So it's like, man, we'd run out of heat. It's crazy. And they know so much technique, Grace. They do. Sadly, I'm not a jazz drummer. No, I'm learning jazz. I'm trying to get better, and we're working on some jazz exercises today. I don't consider myself a jazz drummer, but I love the style, and there's so much to learn from it. And you're right. There's so much grace and knowledge in a very good jazz drummer. Muscle, did you get my text about the kick drum exercises? How are your kick drum independence things going? Here's when a hurricane hits. Yeah, no, this was last April. We got like just a huge snowstorm at the end of April, and the snow was real wet and heavy, and all the trees were like a boom, right? And just the power went out, and just it was crazy. Fear the Beer, what's up? I'm doing good. How are you? So we're doing 4-stroke roughs right now, which is we did the threes. We did those. Next is going to be the 4-stroke rough, which we're going to start with. And this is the difference between them. It's like what subdivision you're doing them in. So the 3-stroke rough, it's triplet based that we were playing. So like 4 ta ta 1, right? Where you play double the triplet. Current teacher, we're mostly perfecting newer stuff and perfecting overall stick dynamics. So I'm to fix on my own since I'm fresh out of high school. Finally get time to commit to drums before getting back to school. And yeah, no, for real. Frosty, let's go. That's so cool. Utilize that time. I know it sounds crazy to say when you're like, oh, I am, but like, don't overthink things. But you sound like you really know what you're doing. So like, just when you're practicing, really try to hit those. Don't waste your time with things you already know how to play, because you'll never lose that. Don't sit down and be like, you know what, I can play this song so good and play it like a bunch of times, and then that's you're like, I practice so much. If you're working on things that you already know, you're not moving, you're not progressing. So when you sit down to practice. Like your practices should be like holy crap, I'm exhausted. Not physically, but maybe mentally, or you should just feel like, God, I don't feel like I got anywhere today, but I also do feel like I got somewhere. If you're pushing the boundary with your playing and you're trying to get better, don't sit there and do things you already know, because you already know. Working on new things is just going to make the things you already know better. You're going to play that when you're performing or working on, a performance or a recording. You're going to know what to do. But in your practice time, focus on things that you can't do. And that's the best advice for someone who's your age and like trying to progress with this, because I know so many people right out of high school, great drummers, that think like, oh, I'm amazing, I can play to Meshuggah or whatever. Like, that's cool, that's great. But that doesn't mean you can play, right? You can mimic something, or you can just play a beat that you've heard a million times. But if you sound like you're really diving into the mechanics and the essence of what this is, you're learning the craft all the way through. So like, you already know how to make certain things happen. So worry about the things that you can't make happen. Don't get lazy with it. So yeah, that's exciting. Yeah, utilize that time because it goes quick. A question on the kick drum stuff. I'll text you. Okay, right on. Yeah. I'm excited, dude. Yeah, the kick drum exercise I gave Muscle was this. Basic 16th note. Not basic. It's hard, but I think it was like. Ah! So starting with a kick on 1, 2, 3, 4, then keep that kick on 1 on all of them, but then move it over each 16th note. So like 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4 and then a 1 and then a 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a 1E, right? And then 4 on the floor. And then on the 2, an E of 2. That gives you every single combination of what you could play in a beat ever. Does that make sense? So let me know, Muscle. I want you to get that. That is like, that one's important because you can really start messing all that or mixing all those around and come up with some cool beats. Limb Independence, level up. Limb Independence plus 10. And you can do the same thing with the hands, right? 1 and 2. I'm so excited, Muscle. So you got the... You're woo-hooing? Blur song, too. All right, so sorry, I'm so sidetracked today, but in a good way. You guys are asking the good questions. You had Blur, yeah, it's Blur, yeah. So a 3-stroke rough, for instance, if we're playing it on in 8th note triplet sense, right? So like 4 ta ta. 3-stroke rough right hand lead is going to be 4 ta ta 1, right? 4 ta ta 1. Left hand lead, I'm playing at 4 ta ta, right? 1. So 4 ta ta. Oh my God. 4 ta ta, 4 ta ta 1, right? So it's 3 notes, left, right, left, if you're playing at left-hand lead, but you start on the 2nd note of the triplet. 4 ta ta, right? if we're playing a 4-stroke rough, technically we're playing left, right, left if we're playing it on the and of 4, but it's going to be faster and a little delayed to 1. So like 4 and 4 and 4 and 1, 4. Hear the difference? So a 3-stroke, 4 ta ta 1, 4 and 1. It's kind of like going, all right, you see this blue is like, we call this one sky blue, but this blue's like, like midsummer day blue. And you're like, they're blue. They look blue. And they're like, yeah, but this one's more like a sky blue. And this one's more like you see the difference? Like, and you're like, no. It happens so similarly, right? And this is why I'm doing this. So I learn it too. It's like, God, if I'm playing a beat or playing and I'm just doing cool stuff, maybe I want to know what I'm playing and not just praying to God that I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. Which 99% of the time drummers are just, we're going for stuff, right? And we're hoping that we end up in the right sticking or we don't derail the train that hard. But if you're thinking of it like when you're playing your basic ride beat, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, right? The triplet of what we're doing is where you put that rough on the triplet, right? So a 4-stroke rough, I'm playing 3 notes on that last note of the triplet. 4 ta ta. So that last note, 4 ta ta 1. 4 ta ta. Right? The 3-stroke rough, I'm playing 3 notes, but I'm starting on the second note of the triplet. 4 ta ta. 4 ta ta 1. As opposed to the other one. 4 ta ta 1. 4 ta ta 1. 4 ta ta 1. Right? Some of you might be like, what is he talking about? This guy's nuts. And I am. I'm crazy. But I want to learn this stuff. I want to get it down. I want to know. I want to be in control of where I'm putting these little things. So working through them in these exercises, these are tempo dependent to a degree, right? Like you're not going to be busting out 4-stroke roughs or 4-stroke singles at like crazy high tempos on the and of 4. Like unless you're a god, you're going to revert to like a diddle or some kind of thing. But right now, I'm playing. Let me just make I'm putting notes down. End of 4. Making little notes for myself. Like these are things that I would play, I think. Yeah, get some sleep, Frosty. That's late. But it's a pleasure. I hope. Let me know if you have questions or need help. Cheers. Go dream about the stickings, right? That's how I go to sleep every night. I'm like, I'm crazy. I know. I have a problem. But maybe I don't. We'll see. So I'm just going to slow it down a little bit and work through this and find some things. I'm going to stick with the left hand leads, right? So I'm purely thinking 4 ta ta or 4 ta ta. So that one's going to be just a slight bit faster. You need sleep because your brain is a muscle, right? And if you're trying to learn new things and you're not sleeping, it's not going to happen. Sleep is like clearing the cache, whatever, of your brain. It's healthy to sleep, especially when you're learning new stuff. It resets your everything. It's good. So get some rest. Two different ideas. Triplet one or triplet one. Oh, it's so hard. Subtle, right? Subtle differences. But holy crap, it feels good. My brain hurts. Oh, Scotty, thank you. Bass Boy, how are you doing? How cold is it up Buffalo way? I saw we were talking earlier. Mount Washington hit a new record, cold of negative 110 below zero. I was like, just imagine that for a second. Like, whatever it is now, 100 degrees colder. We're like zero right now. It was -9, I think, this morning, or 10. And then it was 0 at like 8 a.m. But like 100 degrees colder than that. I'm like, I can't even imagine that. Like, that's so cold. Like, that's insane. Insane wind. Oh my gosh. It's got to be what, like -60 or negative something like that base temperature to get that cold wind chill. Frostbite in less than a minute. Yeah, that's crazy. Could you just imagine, like, walking around outside? Like, that's so dangerous. That's so cold. It's like, we know what 100 degrees, like, going from 0 to 100 degrees Fahrenheit, we know what that's like. But imagine, like, the opposite. That's just crazy. It's hot, yeah. Frosty, no, you keep it. You keep it. I hate heat. I hate summer. I hate mugginess. I hate bugs. I hate allergies. I hate everything about the summer and the fall and the spring. So no. I'll share a little bit. But I love winter. I love snow. I love the cold. I love all the bugs being dead. It's amazing. So, yeah. It's so nice to go outside and not be attacked by mosquitoes, you know? I live in an old house. Even with the heat cranked, it was 62. Man, can I tell you a funny story? Speaking of houses and keeping it warm. So I was going around last night because I knew it was going to be cold, right? I'm like, okay. Usually we don't run the heat a lot in our house. You know, it's like, just put a blanket on, kids, you're fine. We usually keep it pretty cold. I like it cold. But at night, you know, we'll put the fire on. So one room's a little warmer. But anyway, at night we just pile on the blanket. I'm walking around last night because I knew it was going to be cold. I tuck in, you know, we'll put like towels around the windows or the doors, you know, in certain rooms just to keep heat in certain places or just to make sure no heat's escaping the house. Like we'll just kind of reinforce the windows. And I go up to one of the windows and I was like, holy crap, it feels really cold. There's a window like open just a crack in our house. And I don't know if the kids, like I didn't open it. I'm assuming the kids open it to like yell at each other out the window or God knows what they were doing. But I'm like, there's been a window open in our house for, you just like, there goes the heat, you know? And I went full dad mode. And I was like, kids, get in there. You know, like, don't you leave the windows open and just shut the door. You're going to let all the heat out. I went full dad mode. And they were like, oh, what? 85 degrees. Oh, frosty. Oh, that's a lot. Yeah. So you're playing the 3 ghost notes on the snare and the 4th on the cymbal? Yeah, Scotty, yeah. Yep. So that's how I'm counting the rough. So the 3 would be, well, if I'm playing a 3-stroke rough, if I start with my right hand, I go 4, 1, 2, 4, 4, 1, 2, 3, right? 3. If I play it on the left, 4, 1, 2, 3. 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, right? 1, 2, 3, 1. If I'm playing it with the right hand, I'm doing it later. But the 4-stroke rough, I'm starting, yeah, it ends on the left. So 4 and 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's the 4-stroke rough, yeah. So on the end of 4. 4 and 1. 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. I hope that helps. I'm playing 3 different technically things. So I'm playing a 3-stroke rough on the and with my right hand. 4, 4, ta, ta, 1. So that's a 3-stroke rough. 4, 1, 2, 3. I'm playing a left-hand lead 3-stroke rough on the 2nd note of the triplet. So like 1, 2, 3, 4, ta, 1, 2, 3. Ta ta 1. 4, 1, 2, 3. Right? 1, 2, 3. So I'm over with the rough before I get back to 1. But if I'm playing a 4-stroke rough, I'm playing that on the and of 4, or the 3rd note, or the 3rd note of the triplet. So 4 ta 1, 2, 3, 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So it sounds faster, right? Because you're fitting the same amount of notes in just in a shorter amount of time. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'll do the 3-stroke left-hand lead and then the 4-stroke left-hand lead. So 1, 2, 3. Hopefully you get the idea. In Hoboken, it's -7. That's crazy. Yeah, it's so wild. Temperatures, right? So Scott, I hope that helps. Whew. I got a stuffy nose. It's meant to be Aussie's rainy season. Yeah, here we get heat. Are you guys like in a drought or anything? Yeah, for Frosty, for this one that I'm doing, yeah, just that sticking. If I'm doing the left hand sticking, it could be all over. It could be like, I thought it was a cool way to hear the difference is play the left right on the snare and then the last left on the ride. And you'll notice a little difference in like the gap between these two when you play it that way. Mike, what's up? Hi. So I'll do the 3-stroke left hand lead and then the 4-stroke left hand lead. So the one's like 1, 2, 3, 4. Da, 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 1, 2, 3, 4. Like it's more like a dun and a da da. Does that sound weird? It's weird, I know. It's crazy. It's crazy. You're probably like, Dan, they both sound the same. They're slightly different. That's the thing. These little nuances of like, well, okay. What are if someone's like, well, what was that you played? And you go, I don't know, I do 3 notes here, and then I'm like, those, whatever subdivision you're in or wherever you're placing those notes, even though it's the same amount, is so important to learn. And I'm just now starting to feel like I'm getting a little bit of understanding working in this triplet subdivision. It's so foreign to me. It's hard. East, what's up? It's so hard. It's hard. And again, that's what I'm going back of to certain things, and I'm making notes like, all right, I would play it like this. Maybe not like this, or maybe I don't like a 4-stroke rough at a certain tempo. Maybe I just don't like the feel of it. Maybe I like a 3. And where would I put that? How would I make that sound like a 4 or feel? You know, just like when you're playing a fill, think of it like this. If you're playing a drum fill between a verse and a chorus, that fill on beat 4, if I'm going to play an 8th note, and then I'll play a triplet, and then I'll play 16th note, and I'll go back between the ride and the hi-hat, how does that feel? You know, if you're writing a rock song, and you're in that transition fill that you use to go into the next section, it sets it up. But how does it set it up? Is it like create tension and then you're in there, or is it smooth, or is it not even noticeable? That's kind of why I'm learning these. It might seem like it's like, dude, you're playing a fill. It doesn't matter. But if you're really thinking about it, where you put those subdivisions, where you put those notes really does matter. So I'll try that right now. Just play like a basic 8th note feel. I'll play an 8th note fill to the ride, and then an 8th note fill back to the hi-hat, and then a triplet over to the ride, and then triplet back, and then a 16th note. And you'll notice different feels, same thing, you know, but different feels. So each one of those, like you might be playing. Or you might use a fill to go into like a faster section, like use 16th notes to go into like cut time. bigger, slower subdivision to go back to normal time, or use a triplet to just create tension in between sections. That fill, whatever it is, a good drummer isn't just gonna like say, I'm gonna randomly chuck a triplet in there, woo. But you're using the fills to set up the next section or the next groove, and you should already be, it's like reading down the paper. You should be a couple words ahead of where you need to be. So in jazz or whatever it is, understanding the placement and really fine-tuning your stickings and how you're going to play it just makes everything seem smooth, and the transitions seem nice and feel good and not like like you're. Did you ever be in a car? There's a lot of car references today. Did you ever be in a car with someone who sucks at braking or is like really weird acceleration? So like the whole time you're in the car and you're like, and it's just like real scary. You're just like, just. But when you're in the car with someone who's like preparing, like they know they're gonna stop, so they're braking a little bit ahead, and you don't even notice you stopped. You don't even know you're speeding up. You don't even know you're turning. You're just like, oh my god, this is a great ride. This feels nice. Then you're in a car with someone that's like, all right, we're turning. A lot of drummers do that same thing where they'll play and like their fills just feel like so like, God, it takes you out of the moment, and then all of a sudden you're in a new moment and you're just like, oh, what's happening? Fills can totally go one way or the other. So the more I feel like you understand them or the purpose of using them and how you set them up on the drum set, it goes a long way. That's how everyone wants to drive smooth, right? The world would be a better place if everyone just drove good. East definitely all have their idiocentric purposes of tension release. Yeah, it's cool. I never thought of it when I was younger as a self-taught drummer. You learn how other drummers or your heroes or people that you look up to or listen to, you pay attention to how they set up fills, I guess, because you're learning the songs. It wasn't until I really started working with certain producers and certain teachers that were like, why'd you play that fill? And I go, I don't know, because it's cool. They'd be like, no, why did you do that? And it's like, I don't know, because it's what I do. And there's learning, like, everything you do has a reason behind it on the kit. If you put a kick drum before a push, or how you lead up to a fill, or whatever you do, like there has to be intent behind it, or else why do it? And a lot of times I hear drummers playing stuff, there's absolutely no intent. And they're just doing things to do it. And it's clear as day. But I think some of the things that we notice about really good drummers is like, oh, they put that there for a reason. Like they knew every step of that fill, or every single thing that they just played had a reason and a purpose, and it built up to this. And I think that separates a lot of drummers, is the ones who are playing with intent rather than just like playing notes. What brand is that ride? It's a Meinl. Here, hold on, Scotty. Please show Phil Collins in the air tonight. Yeah, if I had a bunch of rototoms or whatever, I totally would. Go to Drumeo or something. They've got like a million videos about that. Yeah, I never really cared about rates, etc., until I got obsessed with Mark Juliana's style, and then it's been a deep dive into intention and purpose. Oh, he's so good about that. It's like scary. right? Like you don't think of subdivisions as like a means to transition sections. When you're first starting out, you're like, oh, I can play triplets or I could play 16th notes. I find that marijuana helps me drum better. What do you think of marijuana drumming? Gator, do whatever you gotta do, man. I personally don't do anything like that, but I have nothing against it. If that puts you in that creative state, go for it, you know? I had a buddy in college that made the comment while we were riding in the car lurches because it's a stick shift. You're like, no, you just suck at driving, right? Oh man, that's a good point. Being in a car with someone who doesn't drive good stick, you're just like, and then you're like, and you're like, oh my God, what are you doing? The more you mention this kind of stuff, I think of Lars Ulrich more so because a lot of his fills and beat over the years I've noticed sounds a lot like, yeah, well, this is a good topic. Someone like Lars, and what makes Lars amazing is he's playing for a band, right? Like Lars is the drummer for Metallica, a band. Could Lars throw in some, 7/8 weird, crazy, displaced beats during a Metallica song? He could. He's a great drummer. But that's not, he's playing for the music and he's playing for the band and he's playing for something greater than his ego. And I think a lot of drummers don't think of that. Lars plays Lars for Metallica. I've actually seen videos of Lars like ripping. He's a pretty decent drummer. He can play. But I think we're gauging Lars's abilities off of what we hear him play with Metallica. And it'd be like, I have a lot of respect for him. He's making that band sound like Metallica. If he went off one day and just started playing all nuts, it'd be cool, I guess, for the drummers. But Metallica has that feel of just. He's got a great sense of like where to put weird things and make you move and shifts things around without you really noticing it, Marijuana's bad. Yeah. Are very stale. His fills are terrible. Yeah. I'm not like, I don't know. I think he plays for Metallica, and maybe he's gotten lazy over the years. I don't know. But he rips. I wouldn't mess with Lars. He rushes and drags constantly. Yeah, I don't know. Saves his ego for the lawsuits. Well, what's cool, Mike? He literally says he doesn't practice. I'm going to play devil's advocate here. Imagine you're Lars, and you've been playing drums in Metallica for, how long has Metallica been around? 40 some years, right? Imagine you're playing, Seek and Destroy a lot, right? Like imagine. Just take yourself. You've been around the world. You've played however many nights. You're wherever you go, like people are just gonna go like, it's Metallica. It's, you've built up a reputation. Imagine pretending to be that group for 40 years. I'm not saying that's an excuse, but like, and how old is he? Like, do you think he wants to like conquer the drums? Do you think he started out to be a drummer or to be a rock star? So I always think of it like that way, like Charlie Watts. I love Charlie Watts and Muscle. We've talked about this a lot. Charlie knew his idols were like all these great jazz drummers, but he never practiced. He worked on stuff and he practiced, but he knew like, yeah, I'm not like a drummer's drummer. I don't think Lars is drumming to become a like the best drummer in the world. I think he's like, I'm in Metallica. I'm gonna do Metallica things, you know. So I always try to think of it like that in perspective. I think he does get a bad rap from drummers, you know, just like Charlie did. Like everyone's like, Charlie Watts sucks. He just goes like, guts, nuts. And you say like he speeds up and slows down. Like, yeah. But you got to think, they don't use click tracks. A lot of the drummers that we see today that we think are just so on the ball, honestly, take that away. Take the click track, take the tracks that they're playing live with away. You're going to notice a lot of bad drummers. Like, you talk about rushing and speeding up, you have to think Lars has held Metallica down over the years. 50, 100,000, whatever arenas, adrenaline, keeping that focus. And, like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, that is, I always tell people, I'm like, here's the sticks. You go do that. With the amount of, as much as we love them or hate them, you go do that gig with that kind of confidence and just create an experience for a whole arena. You know, it's a big deal. It's really hard to do. Saying error clearly multi-track. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, right? Yeah. Well, it's like saying, you know, the dinosaurs in Jurassic Park acted better in the first three. You know, Velociraptors acted so much better. It's like, yeah, it's Metallica. We're being sold a product, and it's a show. So, you know, yeah, I think he's a good drummer. Like, straight up. He's great. It's like people that say Ringo sucks. It's like, yeah, if you're comparing Ringo to like Virgil Donati, yeah, like everyone's gonna suck, you know? But I think we gauge drummers now so much on the last like 20 years of like, all right, this drummer's like perfect. And we're hearing these records that are perfect. And you take that away, you take that makeup off, you're going to see, you know, it's like when all the TVs went high def. And you're like, oh my God, what's happening here? You know, do you remember that? Like when all the TV shows started like broadcasting in high def, and you could see like the makeup lines and all that stuff. A lot of drummers today aren't as good as we think they are. I think we know the ones that are, because we see them in situations just like without the makeup, and you're like, oh my gosh, yeah, they just know what they're doing. But some of the biggest bands in the world, the drummers have a ton of makeup on, because you're being sold a personality, a look, a band story, that sort of thing. Yeah. Or you're listening to Metallica personally. Yeah. I was of a mindset growing up, and my years in college, you know, I was like, Lars sucks, whatever. He's like the worst drummer ever. He's just a joke. And then, you know, it was, again, put yourself in those shoes. There's a lot more behind that than just like playing the drums, you know, that a lot of people don't have. You know, it's easy to say like, oh, I can go up and play with Metallica. It's like, okay, go do it. You know, for a bunch of world tours. Their live gigs, the best live Metallica gigs were those drummers when Lars was available, which absolutely nailing, nothing else matters. Yeah, I don't really like Metallica in general, you know, but they do what they do, you know. It's like Steve Jordan with the Rolling Stones, like, yeah, he's freaking killing it, right? So good. But Charlie was something so different, you know, that couldn't be replicated. You listen to Rolling Stones live gigs and you're like, oh my God, they're all over the place. It feels so weird. But that's what makes it the Rolling Stones. You listen to it with Steve. Steve's adding a little bit of that, but it's so much more solid. It sounds maybe better and it's easy to listen to. But the thing that Charlie brought was more like just Charlie, the real feel. So yeah, that's right. Oh. Leo, hello. How many of us had Metallica as their first intro to that sort of music later in drumming? Lars? Oh, yeah. Well, people talk about that. Like Lars, Travis Barker, Dave Grohl. They've sold more drum sets than Ringo, John Bonham, Neil Peart. Like they love them or hate them. They are they are what keeps these companies making drums and inspiring people. No one, not your average person, is going to see a video of Nate Smith. I love Nate, he's so good. Or Steve Jordan, someone like that. No one's going to watch Steve Jordan play and be like, oh my god, I need drums. Like if you're a kid or whatever, you might be like, oh, that's cool, drummer. But you see someone like Travis Barker, who's like everything's on fire behind him, shirt off, tattoos, just like go. It's like, right? Same with like Lars Ulrich. You're like, oh my god, you're not listening to him drum. You're just like, that is amazing. Oh, what is that? So yeah, Metallica is a big gateway drug to that whole genre for a lot of people, and drumming, or that style of drumming. It's very approachable, which is good. Same with like Dave Grohl and Nirvana. He's not playing anything insane, but it was just like, holy crap. That opens the door to a lot of like other crazy stuff, right? Same with Travis Barker nowadays. Like Travis is really good, but there's so many other people that are like way just like playing crazier stuff than he does. But you watch and you learn what Travis plays and you go, okay. And then you see someone take what he did, like let's say Luke Holland, for example. I'm not saying like Travis was a huge influence, but you see like certain things in drummers nowadays, like the lineage and generational players took like some of those ideas and just like ran with it even more. So you're seeing the iterations of what people get from it. Jay Weinberg, Alex Bennett, yeah. Well, yeah, there's just I stopped comparing drummers just like years ago, because it's like you're gauging what you're gauging your ideas based off of trickery, right? Even live, a lot of the stuff we see maybe is pre-recorded for like the Grammys or something, or concert footage. Obviously you can't fake that, but a lot of stuff is fixed post even live concert, right? Like it's recorded on Pro Tools and they'll edit it and change the camera angle so you're not really seeing what the drummer played, or a lot of that goes on too. So it's really hard to get a sense of like, okay, what's really going on? Even social media, like it's all fake, most of it. So unless you're there, or like I said, you see cell phone footage of like a drummer, it's hard. It's hard to really get a sense of what some drummers are capable of, That's old. That's not old. Yeah, old. When did Metallica come out, right? 80? I know they were together in the 70s, right? Yeah. Joey Jordanson, London Drum Solo 2. 81. Media Hello came out in 83, but they got together. They were together for a while before their first album came out. They were doing like tapes. It's crazy. So it's fun to talk about, but I'm just, I've been around a while, and I'm coming from that that mindset of like comparing drummers, and the more you get into it, you just can't, you know, there's no way to say like, all right, Meg White or Josh Freese or Mark Juliana and I don't know, Jay Weinberg, right? One might look at one and one might look at the other and go, oh, and you might like, that's, you know, we're all going to have preferences. We're all going to have a thing that we like. But when you step back, these differences in drummers, how not perfect they are and how they play, thank God for them. Because if everyone was playing how we thought they should play, music would just suck. It'd just be awful, right? In all honesty. That's why I think a lot of the music of today is awful. It's all the same. It's all gridded, perfect sounds or whatever. But when you find the different ones, as Steve Jobs said, right? Like the crazy ones. Those are the ones you're going to talk about and remember, you know? Drummerella versus Lars. Maybe we'll... Come on, Lars. Ringo to Joey, yeah. Duelist pedals, yeah, those are awful. That's so true. Oh, right on, you're learning jazz. Me too. Right on, let's go. Yeah, let me know if you have questions. Duelist pedal, keep always going with one foot while you work high at with the other foot. Use two of them. You like them, Gator? Oh man, do they still make the Duelist pedals? Who made those? Was it Sonar? No. Who made those? Those are weird. Those are definitely weird. Not gonna lie. I mean, if you can make them work, awesome. But I don't know. It's a little weird. Underrated. I agree, Muscle. 100%. No, not a dual pedal. A Duelist pedal. Duelist. Right? It's a pedal, and then there's like a heel thing, so you can go like rock your foot back and get the things. If you can work it, that's awesome. Some of them are interesting. Think about getting them again. Able to get triplets out, yeah. There's a point where... That, and again, there's all these, this is all conceptual and however you want to think of it. As a drummer, whatever you do with your hands, you should be able to do with your feet, technically, right? Do we practice that? Absolutely not. Like I'm up here practicing paradiddles with accents. I'm not going. Should I? Yes. Do people do? Yeah. Like Virgil Donati, crazy guy, crazy. Right? It's like he's playing like, and he's like with his feet. The Duelist pedal, something like that, it's a cool thing if that's how you get the notes out. But technically, it's like saying, you know, oh, I'm playing, you know, my hi-hat fast because I'm going like that. That's how, right? It's kind of the way I see it as. It's cool, and you could do some cool stuff, but you're kind of cheating the system a little bit. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? But is there anything wrong with that? Absolutely not. Do what you gotta do. Duelist is the brand of pedal. No, they do what they say it does, yeah. But it's like, you know, are you better off learning it with a single foot or using it with two and actually getting some stickings down or footings down? So it's yeah. Do what makes you happy. Just don't molar whip your foot. Yeah, don't do that. That's pretty funny. Be like, whoa, bam! Yeah. How would you even do that? Oh my God, yeah. do triplets on pedals with one foot. See, that's where I was going. My teacher was like, you don't need a double pedal. And I was like, what are you talking about? I need a double pedal. There's no way I could play this. He's like, what are you trying to play? And I don't remember what it was. Something like, it might have been like a Avenged Sevenfold thing back in the day. I don't even remember. But I was trying to play, I'm like, oh, I want to get good at double pedal. And I'll never forget this. Ray Luzier was in the room too. And Ray's, like, we all know Ray. He's a great double bass player. And my teacher was like, what are you trying to play? And I showed him. He's like, well, I could play that with one foot. And I'm like, get out of here. He sits down. Plays it. Heel toe just like being in control of it. And I just remember Ray being like, damn, that was amazing. And then he took it a step further. We've talked about this before. Taking, where are we at here? Whoops. Boop. Taking the spring off, right? He took the spring off and then played it with no spring on, just using the rebound of the kick head and the pedal. Again, that goes into the topic of, like, most people have their bass drums just tuned so low and dead. There's no rebound. So yeah, you have to rely on other means to get your things out. But technically, most of the double bass, really fast bass drum things that people play can be done with one pedal, right? You're talking, like, technically you would need a double pedal if you're getting into, like, really fast doubles or things that you can't, like, comparatively to your hand. Like, there's just no way. But no one's actually playing that fast. But it's just easier with a double pedal, right? It makes more sense. I challenge you to a duelist. Never could before, or you actually can't because you don't have the hardware to. Yeah, but that's what I mean. If you want to do it, totally do it. Totally go for it. But most of the time, like, if you're busting out things like that, it's like, if you're trying to play it during, like, something chill, and you're like, it's like busting out something insane. It's like, dude, what are you doing? What are you doing? So context. That's why I haven't played with a double pedal in over 2 years. It's like the things that I hear in my head with my feet aren't that, This is, but then it's every drummer is going to be different. So, to each their own. Who cared how fast I played? Yeah. It's funny though, because how do I put this? Again, we spend so much time with our hands and not with our feet. Balance becomes a big issue between hands and feet, right? In orchestrations. So what's a quick fix? A double pedal, right? Most drummers just want to play but they're like, well, you could play that with a heel toe thing or a slide technique, and if you really dial it in, but they're like, I'll just get a double pedal and just instead of really addressing the issue. It's a quick fix. Get a double pedal, and then it's like, well, my speed sucks. All right, so now I need a direct drive, DW 90,000 aluminum. Oh, I'm gonna lightweight bearings and all that. Now I'm gonna play faster. It's like, that's not gonna help you. Maybe you'll get a little faster, but that pedal's capable of speeds that are so much faster than what your technical limitations are. So, the people that really want to push boundaries when it comes to, like, what they can play with their feet, just, you got to put the time in like you would your hands. But double pedals, duelists, whatever, they are a means to a quick result if you need that. Iron pedals are some of the best pedals. Yeah. That's what I mean. The guy that I was talking about was playing on just a little single, like probably like a Pearl export, like what came with the drum set. Like you can pinch you know what I'm saying? Like it's just rickety old thing. If you give a good player anything, they're gonna be able to play whatever they want, whenever they want on it. The hardware is a limitation if you want it to be. I'll put it that way. Right? If you give Eric Clapton a cheap Fender right off the wall from a music store, it's gonna sound like freaking Eric Clapton. If you're like, oh, he can only sound that good because he's got this USA blah 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 blah, and he's probably got $40 million pickups. It's like, no, he's just it's Eric Clapton, right? It's in the hands, it's in the mind. So there's a whole new world to learn when you get new hardware. That's just more as I get what you're saying, Gator, 100%. I'm just saying a lot of people get those things because they're looking for quick results. That's what they're, it's usually why people get them. If you're getting it to be like, yeah, I'm going to change the world with this, awesome. But most people get pedals like that because they're like, oh, I can play quicker, faster, stronger, right? I ended up with 3 wood. Oh man, yeah, you got your little auxiliary percussion. Yeah, I had that. What? Wait. Did you get like the? I had the. What do you call it? What do you call it? I had the red one. I'm talking LP percussion. I had the red one, the blue one. And it was like a weird like cone blue one. I had a little auxiliary percussion. Like Rick, what's up? The jam blocks. Yeah. I didn't have a yellow one. I had red, blue, and then a blue cone kind of thing. Should be to own a gong. Yeah. Just cause, right? Just get one, and then I would say put the Duelist pedal up with like big gong mallets. Gong is such a flex. It's amazing. Not gonna lie, if I could afford to just have a gong, I totally would. Just to just be like, it'd be so fun to just boom, right? Next to a splash. Oh. I've been to. I'm gonna say this, and because we all are gonna think of a drummer that we know personally. If you're a drummer and you're in bands, you know this drummer that shows up to the gig, right? Like rack system, 50 cymbals, toms, knock blocks, tambourines, 40-foot pedals with like a cowbell on a pedal and, like remote hi-hats all over the place. And they're playing the gig like... They got a gong there. They never even hit it, but it's the presentation, right? Like, they like don't. I'm like, go over, hit something else. They never touch any of the other stuff, but they're proud of it. They like it. I get it. It's like they're showing it off. It's cool. It's like when my dog, gets a stick. He's like, look at my stick. This is so cool. I'm like, good boy. It's a good stick. But we all know that drummer, right? And I've been that drummer, when I was a kid. There's a video of me playing in my high school, right? I still have the video. I should play it for you guys. You'll be like, I had a Sonar kit. The school had like, the standard Yamaha, whatever school bands have, right? 2 toms, a floor tom, kick snare, ride, crash, hi-hat. And we were going to have a band, a school talent show. So I played like punk songs in my band, like all the small things and like just punk songs, right? That's it. I couldn't even play the drums. So like, what the heck? But I remember we did a talent show, and I was like, guys, I'm going to take the school drum set and merge it with my drum set because they were both black. So I had my sonar kit with 2 toms and a floor tom. But I had like 4 toms up here, and I had 2 toms down here. They were all the same sizes. And I brought like a ride. I brought my cymbals. There were cymbals all over, drums everywhere. I don't know. I had a tom over here for something. I think I brought like the 2 concert toms, you know. I brought them up, and I just had all these drums around me for the school talent show. It looked insane to play all the small things. Or no, that was we were playing something else, but it was so over the top. I didn't even touch any of it, and all it did was make me freak out up there. I was like, oh my god, oh there's a cymbal, oh crap, oh man, where do I go? I didn't know what to do. But it was so cool to like, if any of you remember back in like, we've talked about this before, but like Musician's Friend, like you open up the catalog, it was like that 40-piece Pearl export, and you're like, oh, I need that, right? Like that's the thing. Now you open it up, and it's like a 2-piece like pocket-sized bob kit. That's the new trend. But back in the day, it was like, oh my god, I need like the biggest thing I can put up here. Like give me all the cymbals, even if you're not going to use them, they're there. There's still drummers like that. So cool. It looks spectacular, right? Like how metal bands used to have walls of empty speaker cabinets. Yeah. Same thing, but shells everywhere. Remember like the rack systems with like the cymbals hanging down? They're in like this cage of just like, and they're just playing like, and they hit a cymbal that's like. Now see, Terry plays them all though. I just watched a Terry video, and I'm always blown away what that guy does. He plays that whole kit. Neil Peart plays that whole kit. Everything about it on that has a purpose for him. Some don't. Yeah, roadies sold separately. That's the thing, is like you see all these like huge drum sets and they never play them. It's like that roadie's like, really, dude? Do we need these 3 toms that you hit during one song? Yeah, I totally need those. Really? Because every night I set them up. Most of the time you don't even play them. You know? Yeah, Maple, he's so good. Well, I'm excited you're here, Maple. Thanks. And are you learning jazz from a book or anything like that? I've been using Joe Porcaro's book. Not really using it today, but this is a great book, The Art of Bop Drumming and Beyond Bop Drumming, all those. So, yeah, it's nice to meet you. Frosty, it's getting late. It's like hold on. My pants are riding up, guys, my pants. You might need some sleep. In a band setting though, yeah. Remember he was in Korn for like a year or 2. It was like, so weird, Terry, so weird. During my music lesson, we decided just to combine the kits. Yeah, massive complaint from the head of our music program. Certain intro. Wait a second. Intro. What intro? I was gonna say that person in chat that was like, can you play? Can you play? All right. So we've been doing 3-stroke roughs, 4-stroke roughs. I'll review quick, and then I'm gonna try some stuff and crash and burn probably, but that's what it's about. That's what practicing is. Practice isn't supposed to sound amazing. It's not supposed to sound polished. It's supposed to just be rough and and hard and scary, right? Take 5. As you know, his son Jeff, yeah. Yep. No, Joe. There's Jeff. He's got a brother too. I want to say Jim or Tim. I don't know. I was studying with a teacher. His name's Fred Dinkins, and great teacher, great guy. And he said you need to go take a few lessons with Joe. And I was like, who? This is back in the day. I had a Nextel or a Singular wireless phone or one of those. The little, no, it was Nextel, right? The black, like with the walkie-talkie. And he goes, here's his number. And I remember, putting it in my phone. He's like, you need to call him, go get a lesson with him. Because what I was studying with Fred, he studied with Joe. And he's like, I just want you to go get to know him and just take a couple lessons with him, get his book. So I remember going over, and he was such a sweet guy. He's got that Jersey accent, Scotty. I'll never forget. He's so calm and so nice. Great drummer. And I got this book from him and took a couple lessons with him. But at the time, I'm like, who's this Joe freaking Porcaro person? I was like 19. I don't know who Jeff Porcaro was. It's just like I knew who Dave Grohl was, and Matt Cameron and Jose Pasilas and all the bands and Danny Carey, but I wasn't really into like 80s music and stuff. But later on, I'm like, holy crap, they're like royalty in music. Steve, that's it. Yeah. Rosanna, yeah. Well, that's the thing. Maple, in college, I learned a really good lesson about being humble. First day of school of the semester, there was this class called Rhythm Section Workshop, which it was basically you played with a band and you worked on certain things, like kind of all the stuff we talk about. And our instructor, the professor, said, the final for this is you have to play Rosanna with the band. And I knew Rosanna, like I could hear it in my head, right? Like I wasn't like, Spotify, all these things weren't out yet. So like you had to go get the CD or you had to listen to it on the radio. I'm like, oh, Rosanna, like Rosanna. I'm like, oh, that song's easy. I've heard that at grocery stores forever. Aaron, hello. I hope you're good. I'm good here, yeah. And I remember just thinking like, oh, I'll just learn it at the end. But he's like, no, just a warning, Rosanna's at the final exam. And I'm like, whatever. Weeks go by, and it's like a month, 3 weeks before the final. And, it's on our like, what was it called? What'd you get? Not Sibylus. What's it called when you get like what you're gonna do throughout the semester? Sibylus? I can't think of the word. Ah! And anyway, I'm like, oh, I guess I should learn Rosanna and Sibylus, right? Is it? Syllabus. Whatever. I'm old. I don't think about that stuff anymore. Syllabus. And we had a music library at the school, and you could go down and check out CDs. I know. I checked it out, and I go to my practice room. I had a CD player in the room, and I put it on, and I was like, what? Because I'm like, oh, he's just like, well, all I want to do in the middle of the night is, and I was like, I could do that. I'll just practice it like once, and I'll just crush it. Hardy, hello. Syphilis, same thing, right? Syphilis, what's the difference? And I remember being like, whoa, holy crap. Because I tried it, and then in the the syllabus was like the music for it and the beat. And I'm like, oh, all right, there's a lot going on here. I'll just sit down. It's probably like, some like, little thing. Oh my God. Tell you what, I don't think I slept for like 3 weeks and I remember going over to a practice room. I'm like, my buddy, I'm like, dude, did you know Rosanna's like really hard? He's like, yeah, man, I've been working on it since like September. And I'm like, wait, what? He's like, you haven't been practicing? I'm like, no, it's Rosanna. It's easy. And he was like, dude, you got to get in there. So I was just like, oh my God. I had like 2 weeks, maybe 3. I don't know. I waited to the last minute. I passed. It was rough. It was very rough. Because I was like, I never even thought about playing anything like that. I remember so many things about that day. The band's name is Toto. How hard can it be? Exactly. Dark, what's up? It's good to see you. Man, Hardy, you too. I hope you guys are well. For real. It's great to see you. Sibilance. Sibilus? What is Sibilus? Is that even a word or am I making it up? Syllabus? Sibilus. That's probably, I'm like Trump right now. The Sibilus is so good. So much information in the Sibilus. Yeah, I know. Sibilance. Oh my God, I was in a band with someone who used to check their mic by saying that. I'm like, dude, it's 2010. You don't need to say sibilance into the mic. I hated that. You know how some people, when they just chew their food, you're like, oh my God, I just want to like punch you in the face. When he would check the mic, the way he checked it, he was like purposefully enunciating S's, like sibilance. And I'd just be like, oh. Just go, check the mic. Woo, check. That's all you got to do. You're good. The way you say your S's isn't going to burn the building down when you're playing, Do you remember 25 September? You'll be good. They use it like checking like sibilances like on massive, huge systems. If it's just 2, you're good. You're good. If it's just a little PA, you're going to be fine. You adjusting the EQ isn't going to bring out those those JBLs, if you know what I'm saying. It's a pretty fast halftime shuffle, yeah. Oh, man. So I'll try it now, and I'm going to suck. Don't judge. Woo! It's hard. We're on peak. Yeah. I love those Bernard. Oh, Bernard's amazing. Maple, I don't know where you live, and don't dox yourself, but the Delaware Drum Show is coming up. Bernard's going to be there, and Pocket Percussion in Philadelphia, Willow Grove. Bernard's doing a clinic there. Bernard's a sweetheart. I love him to death. He's a good dude. He'd just be like, ah! Right, let me explain something to you. Right? Bernard plays with the butt of the stick. He's got like a deader head, but he's the man. Oh, you should get his book too. It's called Let the Drums Speak. Bernard's a good guy. He's a salesman, though. Every time you talk to him, he's like, have you got my book? I'm like, Bernard, you signed the book for me. It's a good book. Did you get my book? I got my book. The first time I met him was at NAMM, and I went up to him. I'm like, hi, Mr. Purdy. My name is Dan, and I think you're great. Like you do. And he was like, here's my card. If you're ever on the East Coast, come get a lesson. And he's like naming his prices. I was like, okay. He's such a sweetheart. He's such a good dude. He's a salesman. He knows what he's doing. But those interviews are amazing. He's just got that personality. Oh, Maple, you should check out too. He's got a CD called Purdy Good Cookin'. Like Pretty Good Cookin', but Purdy Good Cookin'. Purdie. Purdy Good Cookin'. It's not on any streaming site, but you could probably find it on YouTube or something. It's him. He's got a mic, so he's drumming, and he sings about the whole album. The songs are about food. It's like a funk blues album, and he's playing in Portland, and he's just like he's doing the Bernard thing in between songs and talking during the songs. It's so good. It's just, if you know Bernard, you know how he is, you'll just smile the whole time you're listening to that CD. It's fantastic. Canada, yeah. It's kind of close to Philly, right? It would be so cool to take a lesson. At least one. Yeah, Scotty, he's a good guy. He's legit. Good. He's a sweetheart. But every time I see him, he's like, Dad, did you get my book? I'm like, yes, got your book. Because I usually see him at drum shows or clinics, and he's got his table out, It's pretty funny. He knows a few things, about the foods. It's so good. He's got one called Mama's Cookin', I think it's called, and it's so good. He's got a song, Red Beans and Rice, and those are kind of staple blues songs. But if you want to hear some solid feeling funk, check out Pretty Good Cookin'. It's really good. Really good. Wait for him to give me... No, he won't give anything away. Bernard, So if you hear anyone say, like, Bernard gave me, be like, Yeah, Eagles or Chiefs. So my family, I'm not a big sports person, but my son likes the Chiefs. So we'll see what happens. When is the Super Bowl? It's not this Sunday, it's next Sunday, right? Yeah, Bernard does this cool thing. I first noticed it. He was the first guy to do it. So the thing with the Rosanna Shuffle, where you play those ghost notes, it's the second note of the triplet. Triplet, triplet, triple. That's the halftime shuffle. That's the Purdy Shuffle. Right? Bernard used to play it, as a rim click. Right? Kind of cool. So if you're ever thinking of trying it, or if you're like, God, what do I do when I'm playing cross stick? People do stuff like that. It's like, well, you got your hands here. You could do, depending on your nails, trim your nails. Don't be scuzzy. Trim them nails. Unless you're a classical guitar player, then you got those weird like wolf nails or whatever. You know what I'm talking about. That guitar player friend of yours that's like, I actually use my nails. I don't use picks. It's like, oh, gross. Trim them, please. They got like that one weird long nail. They're like, it's like, God, this is so weird. Going through all the stereotypes today. Frosty, nice. Have a good sleep. Try to learn David Garibaldi patterns too. Holy moly, usually, yeah. Oh man, he's amazing. Yeah, but practicing, you know, doing or just your middle finger or two, or like letting go. That's gonna give you a more, you know, fatter sound. If you have a wedding ring, you will notice it's kind of like doing you get some or just instead of just give you some subtle things you can do. Sounds like. I am not very good at it, but you can do all kinds of cool stuff. Cool things and stuff, right? All right. I gotta check the time because I dropped my truck off to get new brakes today. How long have we been live? Time's flying. But I gotta go pick my truck up. Let's go over what we did so far today, just so I don't forget. We'll do 3s and then 4s. Wow, almost 4 hours. Holy crap. I've been talking a lot. Oh, wow, that's crazy. All right, so we'll do the 3s, right hand lead, left hand lead, and then do some 4s. Appetizer. I know. I'm getting new rotors and brakes and pads. I know. I could. And I could do my own oil change too, but it's like, you know what? I could, you know, do my own plumbing or electrical or build certain things, but it's like, I'm getting old, man. I'm lazy. I'm like, I'd rather play drums, you know? Rather practice. JB, that's right. I could also run a mile, but why? Yeah. No. If I had more time, I would, 100%. But I'm like, I'll just, see, I can drop it off, come practice, pick it up, and they're good. And it's cold out, right? It's cold. All right, here we go. Please stand by. Technical difficulty. All right, starting from 1, take 2. 3-stroke rolls, right hand lead, quiet on set, and action. It's my first day. We'll get there, right? Yeah, I subscribe to Smalls. Some good players go through there. It's scary. They're like good. Yeah, I watch. Yeah, 100%. I usually watch that at night because usually live while my wife's doing like teacher work. So yeah. I'm good. That feels good. We'll end there. Oh, good day though. Stretchy stretch. I'm gonna go get some food, have some lunch, check, see if it's done. Go pick up the truck. Hopefully it's done. And we're just gonna relax the rest of the day. But I'll be live. I'm not gonna be live tomorrow, guys. We got some stuff going on. Final basketball game of the season. So yeah, tomorrow's kind of a crazy day, but I'll be back Monday, if that makes sense. But yeah, everyone have an amazing weekend. Thank you for hanging. We got a lot done, but not a lot done, if that makes any sense. I feel good. I have a better understanding of like what happens after beat 4 with triplets. Muscle YouTube. Send me a text if you have questions. Oh, hiccups. Yeah, I'm getting like, ooh, I'm hungry. I need to eat some food. And Incubus, yeah, you too. I have hiccups now. Oh yeah, is that going on now? That race is crazy. Austin, you too. Hardy, it's a pleasure to see you. And Scotty, thank you for hanging out on YouTube. And JB, you guys are amazing. I love you. I'll see you shortly. It'll go quick. Scotty, yeah, they're fantastic. I do enjoy them quite a bit. There's not a lot I have to do in the mix to make them sound good. So that means a lot, you know? So yeah, everyone have an amazing day. I'm just going to end it. I got to go pee.